Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Game Week 6 pod of the FPL Wire. It is a big one today. Wildcards are flying, chips are active. I'm your host, Zoph, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Late Riser and Pras. How close are you to pulling the wildcard, LR?
It's tough one. The realm of possibilities in terms of what can happen between now and Saturday is so wide. But I'd say I am. Do we want to do spoilers at
Why
the
not?
moment so early?
No, it's okay. We're all on the precipice, so might as well share where we are.
I'm on the precipice with the intention of not wanting to use it. Is where I am. But events tonight will dictate a fair few things, so that's where I am at the moment.
What about you, Pras? You made your transfers, but is a wildcard a possibility at all?
Yeah, one injury away from a wildcard, because that's how I think it's how close it is between you wildcarding now versus 8 versus later. Like, we'll talk a lot about this stuff and we'll discuss pros and cons and give you all the ingredients you need to make your own recipe, but ultimately they're all very close. So one injury here or there and you just go, you know what, just play it. So one thing that is not true is I will not be playing it for team value. Like, I've seen that become one of the things, and I find it very, very amusing.
Are you above 100? I'm just about there, I think. I've been saved by Semenyo and Joao Pedro. Otherwise, my team value would be below, I think, what I started with.
I don't even have Joao Pedro or Semenyo, man. What can I say? I've had my only rises are Reinders, Mateta, who I sold, so I didn't get that rise, and Van de Ven, I think. So I don't think I'm above 100, but I still, all the drafts I've made, I'm comfortable.
Speaking of rises, there's a good rank rise as well. Pras, I mean, we talk about the
Big bench
people
boost.
getting into your DMs and telling us things are okay, not okay. Why don't we tell people you played your first chip played on the wire this season? How do things go?
Things went very well, man. You know that Nicolas Cage gif where there's wind blowing in his hair and he's happy. That's how it feels after getting rid of the bench boost, and a good one actually. Like, I was pretty set on benching Reinders. He shows up with a 9-point, a fraudy 9-pointer, because that DEFCON he didn't earn, but he got anyway. And then my Burnley defenders, who were not supposed to keep clean sheets, didn't keep clean sheets, but got 4 points each between Dubravka and Estev. And then whoever else is on my bench. I mean, that's already enough, right? 9-4-4. So very happy with that. And now this is one of the reasons why I'm not panicking about team value is I'll have a dud player. Like, I'll have Gyu or I'll have King or something like that, and I won't worry about it because there's no bench boost to play. So feel very good and very lucky with the bench boost that things worked out.
It's just not the FPL, which is why we feel very good, right? Other things happened this weekend. Do you recollect, Zoph?
Man, Bob Sanchez. Don't remind me about Bob Sanchez. It'll become a Bob Sanchez pod. I don't hate on Chelsea players for no reason. You guys have been watching the pod for 5 years. There's only 2 players I've picked on. One is Raheem Sterling and the other is Bob Sanchez. Even Werner, Kai, during their worst phases, like, no, these guys will get there. But Bob Sanchez literally will be training with the reserves for the rest of his fucking Chelsea career.
Nice. So it comes right at the beginning. But, let's just talk about the game because it's the two teams that all three of us support in different measures. But what were those subs, man, in the 10th minute from Maresca?
So it's the first time, right? Maresca is actually managing a European turnaround. He's never done this in his career. And I think the naivety showed over there a little bit, both in terms of selection and the early game management.
Yeah, man. There's a very good chance if you kept either Neto or Estevao on the pitch, and given how things transpired, like, there would have been a chance where you could have snatched a draw. Like, that could have happened if you managed to keep this one runner.
Even with Sunderland and Villa, like, you see, Sunderland actually gave Villa the game. They got more XG with 10 men. You can set it up. Your team needs to have a plan B.
Yeah, need to have a runner. You can't not play with 10 men at the back, not having one runner. That's also, that was a bit odd, but it is what it is. Lots to dig into today. So let's get into the sponsor.
I wanted to have a bit of a DEFCON rant before that. Do we have time for it?
We have time.
Yeah,
we have time. And there are points. There are pods where we don't think about time, and given the importance of today's podcast, I think we just let go.
I mean, just look at Pras's bench boost as an example. Pras, assuming, like, for example, if I was playing the bench boost in your position, I would have played Reinders and benched Anderson. But even in that case, you would have gotten flat 4s, out of which 3 of those were DEFCON. My point is now it's become such an integral part of the game, right? And the whole point of introducing the DEFCON was a very clear remit. Make the players who are not options become options now, the likes of your Caicedo and all that stuff. But what's happened now is the player pool has actually become smaller. Today, now, let's say when you're looking at a wild card today, when let's say I want a Bournemouth defender, You're not even looking at your Truffert. You're not looking at your other guys who might even be attacking fullbacks. You're looking, oh, Senesi, set and forget. Anderson, set and forget. Tarkowski, set and forget. If you don't pick these guys, you're playing with your hands tied behind your back. What has this game become now? There's actually no reward. All the fun guys are dead. Today, you are never picking a Munoz at all at 5.5.
Yeah, I tweeted about it. It's insane. We live in a world where, by a distance, Richards and Lacroix are just better picks than Munoz. That's just how things have transpired, and that's just the truth of the game that we play.
It's just so dull.
I mean, I'll give one counter to this. It's just also that the league is in that phase, right? I mean, if you think about it, no Trent, no Robbo, that kind of, phase that we were in where we used to pick them. There is from Man City, who are your fullbacks? They're also like Aitnouri is injured. Let's go to Chelsea. Kukurea gets benched. You're not picking him. In fact, you're not picking any Chelsea defenders. Arsenal, you were never picking their wingbacks anyway. Like there was some love for Timber, but always it was Gabriel and Saliba. So when you talk about the list of players, we're also slightly in that phase where there's actually no real fullbacks apart from this West Ham guy. What is it, Diop or whatever? Are there any? Like, even if there were no DEFCONs, would you be picking them?
But that's just my point.
I mean, my
ahead,
defense reads Munoz, Dorgu, and Poro, and I feel shit about it. I feel terrible about it.
And you look at that on paper, right? You told me game week 1 or any other season going to that. I'm like, bro, that's the most sexy, most attacking lineup you can get. But now I look at that like, bro, what are you doing?
Exactly. If you think about it, it's a little bit of give and take, though, Zoph. I'll give you that. Like, think about it. Like, scouting for wingbacks is no longer a thing. You don't need to cast
scouting
your eye.
For players itself has not become a thing, man. Almost.
No,
to a certain extent.
I don't think so.
At least
like,
in defense.
The give and take is, in defense. Exactly. In defense, you count the numbers, do the calculations, and let the numbers dictate where you go. But what that means is it's very easy to have a set and forget back seven. The value of having a set and forget back seven is then you're spending your transfers where the money positions are, which are attack. So that's how you sort of play the game, right? So there's always a bit of give and take where there is more flexibility to spend transfers in attack and just forget your back seven.
I mean, I get the point.
I will counter.
Go ahead.
I'll counter with that also. That I think at various points, there will be DEFCON monsters with good fixtures and DEFCON monsters with bad fixtures. And so there is still an opportunity to hop on to DEFCON players with a good fixture run. Let's talk about Dan Burn. Nobody's talking about Newcastle defense because they had bad fixtures, right? He's getting DEFCON. Let's talk about Van Dijk. Okay, their defense looks not that great at the moment, but it'll improve once fixtures improve. They haven't had good fixtures so far. So there are picks like this that are also there that people are not going to right now because their fixtures aren't great. So you can still make a clean sheet, and DEFCON is the nirvana, right? What Senesi got this week. You get a clean sheet, DEFCON bonus, and then you get a 10-pointer out of nothing. So I still think there is opportunity to bounce on the right DEFCON players. You don't always have to have Anderson, Senesi, whatever. I'll just say that as well.
Absolutely. But the point I was making in terms of repeatable actions, right? They're so far ahead of goals, assists, and clean sheets. Now, today, let's take a 5-game sample size. Any 5-game sample size, you're going to get 70 to 80% probability of Senesi picking up at least 3 to 4 DEFCON. You'd agree? That's about 6 to 8 points, which is effectively 2 assists. Or maybe even 3 assists for traditional fullback. You're getting shit odds for that. You're going to get 20% odds for any fullback to get an assist across 5 games, 30% or that a couple of assists. So it just completely kills so many players as options. Again, I'm ranting primarily about defense, not in attack so much. Even in
no, that's fair. And you are comparing fullbacks with centre backs. I'm comparing centre backs with centre backs from different teams. And
you're making a comparison between a Gabriel, versus a Gabriel and a Senesi. Gabriel, I know he's got DEFCON once, but we expect him to get maybe 3 or 4 times more this season. So in that extent, I get it, but it just annoys me that the game is just becoming so narrow and just more spreadsheet and more data driven and less organic, less eye test, less scouting driven.
Yeah. Enough. I'm not talking about the rant. I'm talking about a certain somebody who pulled the wildcard. And we are going to have a special wildcard episode on Thursday as well. Shout out to FPL Harry, who's in the chat as well, who said it was enough last night, pulled the trigger, and will be joining Zoph on a special wildcard chat. So those that are on
Story is he was not wildcarding. And then we're like, do you want to come on the wild? He's like, fine, I'll play the wildcard. It wasn't got to do with team value or anything. If there was anything personally taken earlier, what I said, it was just that, he can come on the FPL wire and we can have a chat on wildcards.
It's about time he does. Cool. Let's get started now, guys. Rant done. I needed to get that out of my system. Cool. Let's go.
As always, all the data that you see on the podcast is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. There's some lovely data in there. you're going to be wildcarding. If you haven't already, you're going to be wildcarding now, or you're going to be wildcarding in Gameweek 8, you're going to be wildcarding Gameweek 7 or 13. Is the time to look at the data because there's a lot of information to absorb in a very short period of time. So become a member, and if you are become a member, help us out by clicking on the link in the description below or scanning this QR code.
And by the way, people who are on X know Tom Hadley. If you have been following DEFCON, you know Tom Hadley. He's just done an excellent article for Scout as well on his analysis on what we've seen so far. So living in the world where DEFCON is a thing, right? I mean, we have to live it. We have to play the game that's the game. So then I think, Tom Hadley being on the Scout channel and his articles and his numbers are also helpful.
As you guys know, NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL. Why? If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN, you can access content outside your region, get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services. And if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan using the link nordvpn.com/FPLwire will receive an additional 4 bonus months on top. TV show time, guys. What have you been watching? LR?
September's packed, man, with good content. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Currently started The Capture, which Pras recommended a couple of weeks ago. For Indian audiences, it's not on Netflix for us. It's on Hotstar as well. It's on Hotstar, not on Netflix. So I recommend that show. Really, really enjoying it midway through that.
Yeah, that's good, right?
I think the girlfriend you already recommended last, but I enjoyed Black Rabbit a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's sort of like Ozark meets Uncut Gems. Another Jason Bateman show. Highly recommend.
Oh, nice.
It's on my list.
I'm watching, so we got Hotstar as well. You can get it in the UK, and they have some shows. And I'm watching Criminal Justice season 4, which is old, I think. But because we got Hotstar now, we're watching that now, which is nice.
I thought Pras was going to talk about The Summer I Turned Pretty, which is all the rage apparently. It's all I see on my Instagram right now. And Pras and I are married men, so we do watch content with our wives as well. So
Of course, proudly so.
Yeah.
Nord also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection tool. It highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/FPLwire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up using the link in the description below. So for it,
WilcCard just said Zoph while ranting and then doing the Nord plug is like such a disparity in personality.
Yep. So cool, guys. So instead of starting with the Discord dilemmas today, let's start with the big discussion right on top. And we will be discussing wildcard picks in detail, position by position, as we go later. But first, let's discuss the wildcard windows. If you should wildcard, when you should wildcard, for those of us who haven't pulled the chip. And as a reminder to anyone who's made transfers today, if you already made the transfers, you use your wildcard, you get all your free transfers back. So it is very much a decision even for somebody like me who has used all 3 free transfers. Today I can wildcard and get all of them back and go to a position of strength. Let's start up. First up with Gameweek 6 wildcard. Go ahead.
I just wanted to preface something that Pras and I also wanted to do is that the idea of this discussion is to try to provide you guys, our listeners and viewers, with all the factors to consider which help you with when to wildcard. Like all 3 of us firmly are in the camp that there is no right or wrong answer, but we've thought about it a lot because all three of us are on the precipice. So the idea is to give you all the factors and you can see what is more relevant to your team and then go from there.
So Larry, you want to walk us through this?
Sure. I mean, I think a good place to start is rather than going 6 versus 7 versus 8 versus this, talk about where we are with the Gameweek 6 wildcard, because that is the then and now sort of decision. And obviously, we're sacrificing on a lot of team value. That said, 3 or 4 people were expected to rise yesterday and they didn't. Senesi, Gabriel, all were expected to rise yesterday. They didn't. We will be bleeding team value, but I just wanted to address that for a second. What does bleeding team value mean? It means that if you're wildcarding, let's say you're shortchanged by $1 million, $1.5 million, it over the scope of 15 weeks means that for a Gabriel, you need to find a Senesi, or for an Endai, you need to find a Dewsbury Hall, or it means that for a Gyökeres, you need to find a João Pedro. Like, having more money isn't the be all and end all of your wildcard draft. And it doesn't always mean that you're going to get screwed because you're losing out on so much value. So I just wanted to make that point. And especially, yes, this is a season in which we might want to jam in too many big hitters into a team because there's a lot of them. But it's also a season in which we have immense value in defense. You can get away not buying a premium defender and going for the DEFCON guys, and the gap has narrowed. It's not widened. So I just wanted to offer some words of comfort and relief for people stressing about team value.
Cool. Let's start talking about the pros first of the Gameweek 6 wildcard. And like you mentioned, the team value stuff is right at the top. You get the players you want. It's not just about losing value. The guys who you think you want long term, right? Maybe your Gabriels, your Rayas, your Sinessis. These guys are the ones going up who you potentially want for maybe something like 30 game weeks. They're very glue guys. That's when it's really annoying. The guys you move on, you're okay, fine, let them rise. Eventually, I'll pump and dump them anyway. But the guys you want to stick there, they're going to take up a bigger chunk of your budget. So that can get very annoying. I totally get that bit. We get to obviously target the 3 Arsenal picks, although which I don't think is necessarily an advantage this week. It's obviously an advantage for the weeks after. This week, the entry point isn't fantastic. Newcastle have by far the best defensive stats. And like I agree
They
with
beat
you,
them last year. I think a couple of times they beat them.
usually
Carabao and another time.
they usually
Yeah. The point being said in terms of, having players to target. It's very clear you can fill your team up with 3 Arsenal players. A lot of times people say that, okay, in Gameweek 8, we won't have these players. In Gameweek 6, we have these players. But it's easy to build a Gameweek 6 wildcard by having 3, maybe 2 Arsenal players to focus on. It's nice. It's a nice anchor to have for your wildcard.
But like the point to be made here is, for example, right, today now if I was to build a defense for my wildcard in particular, I think it would actually be worse this week, but better the weeks after. So there is some sort of immediate trade-off. Actually, this week you might actually be losing points because some of us have your Poros, you have your Forest defenders who have a good fixture this week.
A case in point is if you can show the image of the clean sheet odds for this week's of the Solio one. This helps with that. If you can see, this is the data for clean sheet odds for Gameweek 6. Now, a lot of the popular defenders are Spurs defenders and Forest defenders. They're top 2 of the 3 clean sheet odds this week. Yes, the Spurs and Forest defenders that you own probably don't DEFCON, but who are the DEFCON monsters that are going to find value? Who are the defenders that people are looking at on their wildcard, right? We're looking at Arsenal defenders. Newcastle away is one of the toughest fixtures of the season, 30% clean sheet odds still. Everton is somebody who's probably going to be a lock on your Gameweek 6 wildcard. Great DEFCON fixture, great set piece threat fixture, so great lock-in, great starting point for Everton. But outside of that, popular defenders who are good for DEFCON. Crystal Palace play Liverpool, 14% clean sheet odds. Anderson plays Villa away, 21% clean sheet odds. And there was one more.
Senesi, brother. Senesi is Leeds away.
Senesi is Leeds away, but 21% clean sheet odds as well.
26.
So you don't have the 26%. So you don't have the best clean sheet odds for the DEFCON defenders. So maybe you can wait a week or 2. Just wanted to state what the numbers are saying there.
And the advantage here is almost all of us rolled a transfer the last week. Some of us have even rolled 3 or 4. You get to keep these transfers for future use to pivot to the teams which maybe the guys in their 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, etc. wildcards are going to get to. But guys, let's just evaluate this one right here. I think let's just try to quantify the value of this now. How valuable is now? See, back in the day, it was very easy. Pre-wildcard, you take your punts and move on. But now that is almost dead. How do we quantify the value of this, these accumulated transfers, having this freedom versus using the transfers now to get to very close to a wildcard team? Pras?
You see, the variable that we don't know is the unknown variable of injuries and information changing. So you see, Danny's in the chat and he's saying, look, people in Wildcard 6 are wildcarding to the team I wildcarded in Gameweek 4. He's absolutely right. Why? Because Palmer is not fit. Wildcard 4 was a team that didn't have Palmer. It had Salah, and these guys, Wildcard 4s have just moved Salah to Haaland, and then that team looks very similar to the Wildcard 6 team. So the information change didn't happen that would have helped Wildcard 6. So if you think forward, and if there is no info change, then you just wildcard this week. But then this was also true in Gameweek 1, right? If I ask you in Gameweek 1 to build a Gameweek 6 wildcard, what would you have done? You would have said, I don't need Haaland. I'll free hit for Haaland because Haaland was rubbish last season. Information changed. Haaland is looking amazing. Salah is looking not so good. So now instead of free hit, you are now wildcarding. Or
Saka is also a good example. This week you told me Saka buying this week, I'd be like Madueke is around, but now Madueke is out for 2 months. Change.
So if information changes between 6, 7, 8, and material information changes, then there will be a huge advantage to waiting. You can keep whatever transfers you want, but if by game week 8, let's say one of Haaland or Salah are injured, and Palmer is fit, Saka is fit, then the wildcard looks completely different to a game week 6 wildcard. If information doesn't change, and by the way, game week 8 is 1 month away. It's got an international break in the middle. So we're talking a month of information. Arsenal are a team that just tweeted that they've had an injury every single game so far. So now you cannot quantify this, is what I'm saying. It's very difficult to say, why should you delay? You can just take your transfers and do that in game week 8. But I look at a game week 6 team now, and if I look at a game week 8 team now, I can conceivably make a game week 8 team with 5 different midfielders, genuinely 5 different midfielders to the ones that they have. So that's what I will think, that maybe it's worth holding. Somebody else may say, you can make your 5 different midfielders. I'm happy with my 5 midfielders from game week 6 forever. That's, so it's very difficult to compare today what game week 8 looks or game week 7 looks to game week 6 wildcard, because as of information right now, they all look similar. Only slight fixture swing changes.
The general wisdom is like delay it for information, but doesn't always work. That's where we sort of took the position game week 4. For example, the guys who did activate the wildcard over the last international break, they've done very well the last few weeks. But why have they done well? It's because Villa have completely failed. It's because Forest have completely failed. It's because Wirtz has completely failed. These are the guys we wanted to wait for the next couple of weeks for. So you can make the best strategic decisions, but ultimately it's the outcomes that determine how successful those decisions are.
Yeah, and it's always, and I was talking to Danny, only referencing him in the chat, and one great point that he always makes is it's about what you have and not what you don't have. So if you're building a game week 6 wildcard, do we have enough information to build a really good game week 6 wildcard? In my opinion, yes. You can anchor it on 2 to 3 Arsenal picks. You can anchor it on Haaland and maybe another City pick, having an absolutely beautiful fixture to kickstart the wildcard. You can anchor it on Everton's couple of players who are offering insane value. Semenyo Senesi should be locks on the wildcard, maybe a Spurs defender. And then you decide whether you want to go with or without Mo as well. Like, I think the toughest decision is what you do about Liverpool, which is what you see in the cons of a game week 6 wildcard. Do you sell Salah or no? I don't think I have convincing enough answer yet. If I'm perfectly honest, if I was building a game week 6 wildcard, I would see if there's a way in which I can get Salah on my game week 6 wildcard and see where I go from there. So the real confusing decision that that puts your team under pressure is what you're doing with Liverpool. Outside of that, it's an easy enough wildcard to just build and take forward. So that's where I'm. We're trying to offer like a balanced view, because we're trying to arm our listeners with every factor to consider. So let's go back into the cons in terms of wildcarding now. So we spoke about Liverpool decision confusing. Just out of curiosity, if you guys were building a 6 wildcard, would you go with or without Salah?
See, the thing is, I think having Salah, what it does, it gives you a lot of flexibility. And today, where are the other players you're spending money on? Okay, the Saka is the only other midfield heavy hitter you could go now. That Palmer, the rumors we hear, is potentially 3 to 6 weeks. So it's not like an immediate problem you have, even though he could be back after the international break. It's something is very easy. Once you have Salah, let's say you even have a Dewsbury Hall, you can do something like a Salah to a Palmer, Dewsbury Hall to a Saka. I like that, having that sort of money, rather than what I'm worried about, and I see a lot of wildcard guys doing, is going very heavy in defense. They're getting your Reyes, they're getting your Donnarummas, they're getting your Gabriels, Tarkowski, Virgil, and all that stuff. It's going to be very difficult to get that money out. So today now what people are doing, they're obviously going without Salah and sprinkling the money around, and that might come to bite in the future. Having that money in one place in Salah, I think just gives you just so much flexibility.
Also, just a great case in point, because Zoph and I both have made moves to get in Haaland. And just because of the amount of money that I had spent in defense, because I overspent on a Munoz over a Richards, I overspent on a Porro over a Van de Ven, for example, that's meant that I can't get to Haaland without compromising on Salah. And Zoph has made some insanely good moves, not had to sacrifice Salah. He's keeping Salah and Haaland both. So, those, and there are enough big hitters in play in the coming weeks, which is why, as just general Game Week 6 advice, balance how much you're spending in defense. That's a great point that Zoph makes.
Yes.
I still think having both right now feels like, like Salah's next two, it's always with these two guys, it's always about captaincy, right? I mean, how many fixtures are you going to captain them? And it's nice to have them if both have great fixtures. But in this case, Salah's fixtures, I think you can take him on in the next two. Like, I think Crystal Palace away is tough. Like, his record against Crystal Palace, I don't use past records as a gauge that, oh, he does this at this stadium. But Crystal Palace have worked him out quite well under Glasner. And then you think about, it's a Chelsea game. It's away to Chelsea. Chelsea a little bit more pragmatic as well. Now, Bruno just got a 10-pointer against Chelsea, so it's not like you have to not have Salah. But what I'm saying is, if you can balance out your team a little bit better, take the points now, and then you decide. Like, you are also carrying transfers. Everyone who's wildcarding this week is carrying 2 free transfers into 7, maybe 3 free transfers into Gameweek 8. Then you can decide if you want to have one. I mean, getting to both is harder, but even both you can do. Let's say Gyökeres and Bruno become Salah and a cheaper striker. It is possible, but of course, as somebody who's not wildcarding, I'm a lot more open to a Salah and Haaland structure in Gameweek 8 than in Gameweek 6, because it feels like I'm losing points now if I go for both, because there's other good fixtures in 6 and 7 that I can target instead of having Salah in my team.
You also have to compromise on your Arsenal guys a little bit, because that is going to eat up a lot of your money. But guys, can we provide a checklist of certain players who we feel like, are very important to own? Like, let's say if you own these guys, if you're in the XYZ sort of structure, if you can attack these guys over the next couple of weeks, you don't necessarily need to wildcard, or would that be oversimplifying it?
No, it's a good point, in fact, and I think that is a good segue to some of the cons for a Gameweek 6 wildcard, where we mentioned already, we spoke about the good odds for Forest and Spurs, which are popular for non-wildcard Gameweek 1 teams at the moment, right? Forest plays Sunderland at home, Spurs play Wolves at home. They're just good fixtures for players there. And short-term fixtures for City and United are good. So if you're finding a way to get to Haaland this week and triple captain him, then you can push your wildcard to Gameweek 7 or 8, because the two biggest attractions for a Gameweek 6 wildcard are jumping on Arsenal early and getting your set and forget, and jumping on Haaland and getting your set and forget DEFCON picks in place, right? So if you can move to the solo odds, if you're looking at a Gameweek 8 wildcard window, we already discussed Gameweek 6 clean sheet odds. Now this is expected goals for Gameweek 6 and 7 total. So if you see City, United, Spurs, Villa, Liverpool, Chelsea, these are a lot of the teams, popular teams from which people already own attackers. As long as you can get Haaland, and if you have a Bruno in place, if you have a Xavi Simons, a punt like that, if you have Watkins in place, your expected goals are pretty decent for these teams as well. So, I mean, if you're getting Haaland, and if you feel like the information later is worth it, then you can save your wildcard. Otherwise, pull the trigger right now. Like, I think it's that close a decision.
We should mention the Haaland news that has come in through today. I think people are panicking a little bit. Now, Pep said after the game on Sunday that he's been carrying a problem in his back, and today's presser, they asked him specifically, I think with regards to the Carabao Cup fixture. Now, obviously, now managers are going to rotate these players midweek. They sort of have to give something to the press, right? That this guy's had this sort of problem. That's why I'm not playing him. But even then, he said that Haaland, he didn't train yesterday because it was recovery, which is standard. And he's trained today, and I hope he'll be available for the Saturday game. I didn't see any red flags with that at all. People are panicking a little bit, saying Haaland is a doubt. That's not what I took from those quotes at all. Do you guys agree? Pras?
I agree.
Of course, this is fine. Like, this is expected. So yeah, let people panic. It's okay. Even the FPL official account was like, "Oh, is Haaland going to be a doubt for Burnley?" It's okay, man. People will stir up. That's social media. So it's okay. If you don't want to triple captain, don't triple. We'll only do it.
We'll get more information by Gameweek 8 anyway. That's it. The triple captaincy is a factor, but again, we mentioned on the previous pod that the single most important chip for the first half of the season is the wildcard. Let that dictate and find priorities. If your team is too much of a mess, then wildcard.
Yep. And for those of you guys who wildcarded in game week 4 and already have a Haaland Salah structure and you're struggling to get to Arsenal a little bit, just give me some time later on in the pod. I'll talk about the merits of a game week 7 free hit, potentially how you can sort of bridge that gap for your Manchester United and Arsenal players. This is primarily what you're losing out to the game week 6 wildcarders this week. We'll talk about that a little later.
Right. Do you want to just have a look at the Game Week 6 fixture horizon and see what kind of picks we would definitely have on a Game Week 6 wildcard while we are on Game Week 6? Because I just think it's relevant.
It's probably the biggest topic for this week. Yes, we should pay some time.
Yeah. So Arsenal, first question I'll ask you guys. Where would you go with your Arsenal picks if you're building a Game Week 6 wildcard?
And have you mentioned the Saka news? Now we heard that Madueke is out for 2 months now. So Saka's game time, I think expected minutes have shot up. And I think this week is sort of a good litmus test for somebody who isn't wildcarding, because now Arsenal have the Sunday to Saturday schedule. For those of us who want to watch and observe how Arsenal rotate over this period, they're never going to have a more difficult turnaround period than this, right? So that's one advantage for the later ones. But talking about this one, Pras, in terms of Saka versus Gyökeres and in terms of defense, where are you leaning now? I'm a bit worried now about locking yourself out of the third Arsenal slot. Let's say if you're not going with Saka now. Earlier, I would have said go Rea, Gabriel, Gyök. But now you want to leave at least one spot open if you're not going for Saka, right?
Or you go for Saka.
Or you go for Saka.
Like, I know it's a little bit of a, like, what risk are you taking if you're going Saka? That the injury reoccurs? But apart from that, he's getting 80 minutes. Like, okay, he may get sub-offs for Dauman or Nwaneri, but I don't see Saka not starting any of these games.
There's a small chance
So I'm not saying he's a
West
pick.
Ham. We don't know that yet.
I'm not saying he's a pick like you have to have him, but I'm just saying that suddenly a new structure has opened up where you may think you go Saka and Gyökeres, or you may go two, like you said, you keep the option open because it's only Newcastle this week, and then you look at it and you watch the Olympiacos game, and then you go for another pick. Obviously, it needs a transfer, but yeah, I think these are the things that people, if they're wildcarding now, they have to take a call on. Like we've said on this pod for the last 3 weeks, I own Gyökeres. I'm not convinced on Gyökeres. I own him because it was like, okay, he's playing Forest. It was a good entry point. His market odds looked great. And so fine, I got him. But I watch him in every game and he's not doing much. Now, maybe he's a flat track bully and against West Ham, we find
He's
out.
the best forward in Europe as per last night.
As per last night? What did I miss last night?
The Ballon d'Or ceremony. Oh,
right. Yes. So it's one of those things where I don't need to make a decision where by game week 7, maybe we'll get more clarity, like you said.
Yeah, but I would say if you're wildcarding now, which 3 would you go with? Like I just like trying to help the wildcarders out right now. Which 3 would you go with? I'll start. I would go definitely one defender, and just because the Game Week 7 fixture is against West Ham, who are the worst set piece defenders in the league, you go either Gabriel. If you're in the market to experiment, go Timber, but I would go Gabriel. I would just find the money to go Gabriel. I would go Gyökeres because I think Saka is immensely good for Gyökeres in general. So, and I think we will see Eze and Saka supplying Gyökeres, and Kai is still a while away in terms of minutes. So just by playing as centre forward for Arsenal, getting 75 to 80 minutes, I would go for Gyökeres. And if you're going without Salah, I would go with Saka. If you're going with Salah, you have to take a call on Saka. But if you're talking about placeholders, there's no better placeholder in a market where Palmer's injured than Saka for Mo Salah if you're going without Salah. So these are the decisions that I would maybe think about. Just other absolute locks on my wildcard would be Senesi, Semenyo, Everton midfielder of sorts, and Haaland. These are the locks, and then you figure out where you want to go with your wildcard. So Tarkowski is interesting, right? Because I think the great clean sheet lock fixture is West Ham home. After that, you've got Palace, City, and Spurs, which are not the
even Sunderland away. Then you have Fulham, Manchester United, Newcastle. It does toughen up.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it. Spending 6 million on Gabriel, 6-1 on Gabriel, and spending 5.5 million on Tarkowski might be a bit much. I might want to save a little, which is why, and there are other defenders who offer what Tarkowski does from a DEFCON point of view for a cheaper bang for buck. So I'm not convinced that fully lock in Tarkowski because it feels like overspending in defense.
I'm the same. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the defense,
who else?
The defense pretty much, I think, like you mentioned, is quite easy in that sense. You go your Anderson, Nessie, Gabriel, or you go your at least one 4.0 defenders. I still like Rodon over Goodmanson. I think the predictability of DEFCON just outweighs the bonus. And
isn't there a new sheriff in town? That Sunderland
guy, Mukiele.
And Alderete, both are good.
Both are also good.
Mukiele is like 100% DEFCON rate and looking attacking as well. Like he could be a budget unicorn.
But the fixtures, I think for Sunderland, it feels like the best ones have passed. But again, with a 4.0 guy, doesn't really matter as much. If he's going to be getting your DEFCONs with regularity, could go there.
Yeah. And of course, my boy Richards. And your boy Zoph. Our boy Richards.
Our boy Richards now. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I think so. These 4 pretty much pick themselves for the 5th spot. You can see if you want to be a bit flary and all that stuff.
I think for defense, 4th and 5th defender, you have to pick based on whether you have played your bench boost And if you have not, then which week you're looking to play a bench boost. So I think that determines it. If you're looking for game week 8, for example, pick Leeds. You don't pick Sunderland. That's as a good example, right? So that has to dictate it rather than who it is, because you will barely play them.
Yeah.
And
also, just on bench boost, also for the wildcards, just want to mention that if you're building a game week 6 or a game week 7 wildcard, you can aim for game week 8. And if it looks like injuries are looking too dodgy, then bench boost in game week 9, because the fixture disparity is not too much, because both the bottom defenses in Burnley and Leeds have decent fixtures in both 8 and 9. The slight advantage with game week 8 is Sunderland has a good fixture in game week 8, which is Wolves at home as well. So it allows you a little more bottom price entry points as well.
And also, I should mention, in terms of EU starting, I had a look at Chelsea's schedule. I think the fixture he's most likely to start is game week 9, which is against Sunderland. Because game week 8, right after the international break, we play Forest and then we play Ajax midweek. If you ask me short term where EU could get a start, and if you want somebody dirt cheap as your 8th attacker, I don't mind that punt for a bench boost in 9 as well.
But 8 is when the international breaks finishes,
Then it's Forest.
And you have a lunchtime kickoff.
That's Forest away, or game week 8, but it's a tougher game.
Start that one.
You could start that one. Joao Pedro could also start that one. I think that because the difficulty of the fixture, it feels like that's the one that Joao Pedro will be risk. But Sunderland is also the thing that he was at the club previously. I think that makes a big difference also in terms of the mentality. Obviously, it's performance dependent how he does against Lincoln tomorrow when we play.
I mean, this is not anti-Joao Pedro propaganda, right? He's on my Wildcard 8 draft. So just FYI. But the two things that worry me is international break, game week 8. They come and it's an early kickoff, away game. International break, game week 12. It's the early kickoff, again 12:30, away game to Burnley. So both those games are mega rotation risk threats. Again, it's not anti-Joao Pedro. I love him. He's great. I will probably have him. But I'm just warning people that those are two mega places where there could be rotation.
Our friend FPL Rockstar, shout out to him, makes a good point that if you're going heavy on bench boost 8, just note that game week 8, Everton have a tough fixture, which is City away. So those little fringe picks also little bit depend on your bench boost, but don't give it too much precedence. That's all.
So therefore, he's saying game week 9 is a good bench boost week for people going in 6. Yeah, fair enough. That makes Sunderland also a good pick. No, sorry, that doesn't make Sunderland a good pick.
My only issue with that is, game week 9, I want to have a couple of Palace players in my team because I just think they're good, robust picks for the rest of the season, game week 8 onwards. They've got really good fixtures. Look at those fixtures, game week 8 onwards. Bournemouth at home in 8, Brentford at home in 10, Brighton at home in 11, Wolves in game week 12. That was 9 is the tough fixture, which is Arsenal away. So which might be a little bit tricky if you're going a little heavy on Palace on your wildcard.
But again, like Pras's bench boost showed, you still expect him to get 3 points.
Yeah, DEFCON. That's it.
Yeah. So it's fine. You just take what.
So clarification on Joao Pedro. Harry's saying the game for Brazil is at Tuesday morning. So actually there is enough of a turnaround. It's still an away game on a Saturday morning. But I mean, look, as I said, I'll probably have him on wildcard as well.
Yeah. And I just think without Palmer, Pedro's importance just becomes very, very high for that Chelsea team in general. Nobody else can play the 10 role.
And I genuinely think he'll take the next penalty.
Yeah. Any other picks that you fancy on wildcard? Something maybe out of the radar? I would maybe throw in a United midfielder.
United midfielder has to be there, I would say. Primarily with your 6 and 7, their fixtures are good.
I just think outside of game week 8, fixtures for United from an attacking standpoint are just good. Brentford, Sunderland, Brighton, Forest are 4 good fixtures from an attacking perspective. So either you go Bruno or Mbumo. I think you go one of the Bs with your M for Mbumo, but you go with either Bruno or Mbumo as a United midfielder pick also, because I think there are goals there for the taking.
Agree. I think I would lean towards Bruno now, primarily because the DEFCON just seems so repeatable. He just looks like one of the guys you could potentially set and forget. Never going to really need a reason to take him out. Oh, I hate saying. Moving on. Who else?
I didn't say it.
Okay, like you mentioned, the Everton midfielder has to be there. I think the rest of the guys, let's just discuss once we get to the wildcard draft. Because I think the front 3 picks itself, right? You get your Haaland, Joao Pedro, Gyok. It's only a midfield.
Or drop one of them for a cheaper striker like Strand Larsen or Mateta.
Calvert-Lewin.
Calvert-Lewin, yeah. Calvert-Lewin is on my Wildcard 8, in my Wildcard 8 draft that I built because of the Game Week 9 fixture.
And at this point, we lost about 100 viewers.
I mean, if you're going that way, guys, then you go for Foster at 5.0. He's got a good fixture in 9 as
He's
well.
also great. He's also fine.
All right, let's move on to the Gameweek 7 pros and cons. I'm very much open to a Gameweek 7 wildcard, by the way. Like the way I have it, for people that don't know, I'm doubled up on United attack. And my basic premise is if United look terrible and if Arsenal look godly, I'll just pull the wildcard on Saturday and go for a Gameweek 7 wildcard because you're getting a great entry point into Arsenal. Which I think is a good starting point after assessing them in Gameweek 6. So I basically want to see how many minutes Saka plays, and that will determine how they look. I will also want to see, I'm expecting Isak to start the Palace game for Liverpool, and I want to see how that impacts Isak, how that impacts Salah, and then accordingly take my Liverpool decision in Gameweek 7, which is because at that point only Chelsea remains as a tricky fixture for Liverpool and they go into a good run of fixtures as well. So Gameweek 7 is also 1 week closer to BB 8 or 9, so you're less prone to make mistakes if you're going for a bench boost. And you can still play the triple captaincy in Gameweek 6 if you're wildcarding in Gameweek 7, which is also a slight advantage, right? The tough decisions, the cons of a Gameweek 7 wildcard, you're delaying it by a week. It's not going to be very different from a Gameweek 6 wildcard. And you're using up transfers before wildcarding, which is not just the best thing to do, right? You want to accumulate transfers and move into a wildcard, having accumulated transfers. Just using 2 or 3 transfers to get Haaland on a Gameweek 6 triple captaincy, then using a wildcard isn't the best strategy. So it doesn't feel optimal.
The Manchester United question is a big one here, because you mentioned that you'd actually be selling your Manchester United mids. I think if you're going a 7 wildcard, you'd even take a punt on getting 2 with a view to moving
He
one
has
on.
to.
He said at the beginning that he might even consider pulling the wildcard in 7 despite having 2 United mids. That's something that sort of boggled my mind.
Yeah. No, that's a pro.
No, it's a performance dependent thing, right? If we look terrible against Brentford,
The way the yo-yo things happen, you go terrible and then you go good. I don't think that necessarily determines. I think it's Sunderland at home.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But it will feel terrible if I go into the first game of the week and have 2 blanks or maybe 3 blanks on the radar. I have to actually triple United to start the game week. So that might just put me on tilt. So just hold me, guys. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. But
but other pros and cons, I just think it's a good I can maybe just keep the United guys or get the right United guy. And Game Week 7 is a good wildcard window, like because of the clean entry into Arsenal.
Yeah, I get that point completely. You get to hold your good picks for this week. You can get rid of your Forest guys right the week after. You can get Arsenal right when the good run starts. So I do see the appeal in that sense. Pras?
I mean, you guys sold Watkins, so that's one more reason for me not to play it in 7. Watkins is home to Burnley. Man United is home to Sunderland. We take the pain one more week, and then I will. If I don't do 6, I'll probably do 8 or 13, not 7. I will try to hold off on 7. Having said that, I will be doing an early transfer again in Game Week 7 because I have 0.1 wiggle room from Wirtz to Saka. If shit hits the fan, I'll play it. Like I don't think it's such a big deal if you play it in any week.
Yeah. So your point is,
in your case, it's Plus's case is very specific because he's also doubled up on Arsenal already and has Watkins in place. So Game Week 7 is a little out of the picture for him.
And he has Bruno in place.
Yeah. So I can't.
And my DEFCON monsters are also there. I can play any defenders any week.
Yeah, so he's good. He's not looking at, but these are the pros and cons. Straight, a good entry point for Arsenal, a good entry point for United. You're probably going to ignore Everton on a Game Week 7 wildcard because the fixtures look a little dodgy, and I don't think Palace at home is a great entry point. Pras mentioned while we were just about to get it's a good entry point for Newcastle United as well, which are a little bit of a team that have been overlooked at the moment. Can we talk a little bit about Newcastle?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's Eddie up to, man? Like, certain week he plays an attacking 4-3-3, then he says after Europe, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to bench all good attackers and I'm going to play a 3-5-2. Like, that scares me a little in terms of how he's handling Europe. Where are you guys on that?
I think Eddie has wised up a little bit. This is now his 2nd season in the Champions League. He's realized he can't go this high energy, high pressing style 3 times a week. So he decided to tone it down a bit, and in terms of structurally, defensively, they've been a lot better. 2.5 NP/XG across 5 games. When you look at the opponents they have played Liverpool, they have played Arsenal, they have played Bournemouth. These are the teams who are in the top 5 XG you'd expect at the end of the season, and see the numbers. So there has been a clear shift to the sense where he's realized, I can't just push these guys every week. They are going to get injured. He's understood he can't play his Jolintons, your Tonali, and Gimares every week. He has to pick and choose a battle. So I think this is going to be a factor with Newcastle.
Yeah. But on Game Week 7 wildcard, just wanted to say, like somebody like Gordon might be in our thinking because Forest, Brighton, Fulham, West Ham, Brentford. That's 5 good fixtures from an attacking point of view. So even Game Week 6 wildcarders looking at a middling mid. I think Gordon's back this week, right?
Yes. Suspension.
He's
sub.
back this week. So such a suspension sub. So that's just another shout as well. So that's the entry point for Newcastle, which is.
But the mood that Eddie Howe is in, I don't even trust Gordon yet.
Yeah.
I don't trust it. He's now, you're absolutely spot on that he's decided that I'm going to balance out the season and make sure that they don't all crash by March. So he's going to rest players. He's got now enough wingers in the team. And genuinely, I think he'll even rotate the strikers. Like that front 4 or even front 6 or, the midfield 2 and the forwards, they will get rotated a lot. Hall, Trippier, Livramento will rotate a lot. I genuinely think it's right now Burn and Pope as the 2 picks from Newcastle.
Yeah. In general, also, I just wanted to actually just add to that a little. It's like one fact in general, which allows you to be patient and which allows you to think that fixtures don't really matter that much. I'll just get the good picks and wildcard Game Week 6 is fixtures matter relatively less so far this season. And I think that's going to be a trend that's going to continue because Burnley, Leeds and Sunderland are no mugs. So there are far less whooping boys than they were last season as well, which means that you don't need to pay as much attention to fixtures as you did earlier because the games and how the big teams are treating Europe also, conserving energy, not really going for a blowout 4-0 final, means that you're not losing out on much all the time. That enables you to wait and that enables you to say that not much is going to happen Game Week 6 and 7. Get Haaland in Game Week 6. Not much is going to happen Game Week 6 and 7. I can afford to wait till 8, 12, 13 as well. I just think that's a larger meta point that I want to talk about.
Now, like you mentioned, also with 6 and 7, let's assume you want to wildcard in 7 and not in 6. You're definitely using transfers in 6 to, let's say, get Haaland, right? And when the Game Week 7 team, when it won't be that different, is that worth the delay? Is it worth using those transfers just now to delay the wildcard by 1 week? I'm not so sure about that.
It's just it depends on the conviction of like if Arsenal win 3-0 against Newcastle, let's assume Arsenal win 3-0 against Newcastle. You're like, okay, man, they're clicking, Saka's looking on it. I want to get on him right now. Let's wildcard. And United lose 1-0 to Brentford. I'm like, okay, I'm stuck with my United midfielders. I want to start this is the pivot that I want to make, right? So it bases a little bit of information and conviction on the information as well, which changes on a weekly basis.
And I get that. What you're saying is if you're undecided, but my point is if you're decided that, yes, I want to play the wildcard in 7, and you're maybe using 2 or 3 transfers in 6, then I would be inclined to just use it in 6 and keep those transfers for later to move those guys.
I agree with that.
Fair point.
Like transfer usage is a thing.
Yeah.
And if you're delaying it, you're hoping for information to change. This was the first thing that I started the pod with. You have to hope for information to change.
I think a lot of people will be in this boat. Is 2 transfers okay to just make sure you're playing what looks like on paper the best triple captaincy in the first half of the season and get done with it in wildcard in Game Week 7?
I would say if you have a longer horizon, yes, but in Game Week 7, it also depends on how highly now you value the Haaland triple captaincy. Let's just say if right now, because Haaland might get injured 2 games later. We don't know. We might not have the same opportunity. But again, like we mentioned in previous pods, there are going to be other opportunities for other heavy hitters. Maybe Isak when Salah has gone to AFCON. In somewhere you can go there. So I don't think that's as much of an opportunity cost you're giving up.
Yeah, agreed. That said,
I mean, I will say one thing on sorry, Ella, go on.
Plus your flow.
No, I was just, because we were on triple captaincy, I'll say one thing because I've been thinking about it a lot. With the other guys, there's been a little bit of a shift in goal share that we are yet to understand. So with Salah, Isak, if they're sharing more goals, then you're like, okay, who do I triple captain? Which of the 2? Okay, it'll be fine, right? I mean, it's just a 1 chip and 1 extra player. So I'm not trying to say it's a huge thing. With Saka, there's Gyökeres. So who will you captain? Gyökeres sometimes 70th minute sub, Saka not on penalties. So which one? Then you talk about who else? Palmer, he's had his problems. Maybe he'll be fit by later. So you naturally come to the one team where nothing has changed in terms of goal share. And then you say, which week do you prefer a Haaland triple captaincy? Is it this week where they're playing Burnley or Leeds? Then you go Leeds, man. Like Leeds know how to defend this year. Burnley also did fine, right? They held Liverpool for 95 minutes. So in the context of you're not really sure, you can also have the view leave it. But I'm increasingly coming around to the fact that if I see him, if on Friday Pep says he's fine, I'm going to play it. And there's a second element to it. You're also playing this game against other people. And so if you're seeing a lot of people wildcarding and you are saying, okay, I'm not going to wildcard and I'm okay not to wildcard, I'm giving up the ability, I am making 2 transfers while other people are saving the transfer and playing the wildcard. I'll use it this week because I think it's a very good week, which many people can't. So there's 2 elements to this, which is why I'm quite strongly leaning towards it.
Also, a couple of things that have factored into my thinking is when he plays Leeds, he has Champions League before when he plays Leeds as well. When he's going to play Leeds, Marmoush might be fit. We saw in the Club World Cup a little bit of minutes management, etc. as well. When he's going to play Leeds, we have no guarantee that Haaland is going to be fit. He could get injured in 2 weeks. We don't know what's going to happen. So and one thing that is, like you mentioned, I'm pretty sure of is as of Gameweek 5 and 6, when it comes to trusting somebody with captaincy, Haaland is there. And then I have Salah, and then I have Palmer and Saka and Isak. Like Haaland is clearly the player I trust the most with the captaincy at the moment by a distance. So I feel like then outcome
but this can
is
change,
outcome.
right? Salah can score a brace in 2 games in a row, and then we're like, we're idiots for selling Salah.
Not for selling Salah, Pras, but I get the point that LR is making. In terms of goal share, I would say Haaland has gone up this season. Salah has gone down. In the sense, in terms of goal share confidence, even if Salah bags braces in the next 2 games, I don't think that necessarily will change.
The point is that let's assume Isak is fit and you're captaining Salah 4 weeks later against Burnley at home. Now I give you a scoreline: City Burnley at home 4-0, and I give you a scoreline: Liverpool at home 4-0 winning against Burnley. I will be confident of Haaland having 2 or 3 returns in those 4 goals. I will not 100% be confident that Salah's had 3 or 4 returns in those goals, given Isak is a thing now. That's all.
Salah can also assist, right? Haaland rarely assists.
So I agree. I buy the point.
Salah will get a clean sheet point. He'll get extra point for a goal. So
yeah, but
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
It's going to reduce a little.
Yeah,
I just think, I feel like this is the best opportunity if you're not wildcarding. Like if you're not wildcarding and if Haaland's fit, I think you don't need to overthink it. That's all.
At the same time, I think what we also said was you don't need to hold your wildcard because you have to play triple captains. I think that's the balanced approach.
Absolutely. I think if you want to delay to 7 primarily just because you want to play the captaincy in 6, I think that is too big a trade-off if you're burning your transfers this week for that.
Yeah. What about double game weeks? Plus 2 people need to still save info for double game weeks?
Let's go to our Carabao Cup slide.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first thing to say... So, first thing to say is you had half of the Carabao Cup games last week and the other half happen this week, in fact, tonight and tomorrow. So, the first thing to say is wait for those. And what's going to happen at the end of this is the draw for the next round. So now let me explain what exactly happens and how is this double game week, bland game week scenario going to take shape. But before we do that, do you want to just do a quick fan code plug?
Yeah, if people in India want to watch fan code, you can. We've managed to get an association with them as well. You just need to scan the QR code, or we'll provide you guys with a link in the description below, which offers you a discounted pass to watch either Chelsea or Liverpool or Manchester City. This gives you a fan code pass for a month to watch all Carabao Cup games, which is I think about 120 rupees as well. So if you want to watch, get clicking, get scanning.
We also have La Liga and F1 in India. You guys watch that stuff. Yeah. But go on, Pras.
Right. So what happens now in the Carabao Cup? So tonight, Lincoln play Chelsea, Liverpool play Southampton, and those have implications on the future. So let's assume Chelsea win, Liverpool win, Man City win, Newcastle win, Spurs win, Arsenal win. So all the favorites go through, right? So in the draw for next round, Crystal Palace's draw is going to be very important, and as soon as the draw is made on the Wednesday, you're going to see a lot of tweets around it. Because let's say Crystal Palace have a tough draw, then the chances of a blank game week have dropped substantially. And why is there a blank game week? The midweek of game week 16 is the week where there is the next round. So not the one that happens after this, the one after that. So if you follow, right now this is the 3rd round. There'll be a draw for the 4th round. Whoever wins the 4th round will get to the quarterfinal. So that quarterfinal game conflicts with a confirmed game that Crystal Palace already have, which is the 6th game of their EFL game. Their ECL game, the Conference League game.
Yeah.
So they both happen on the midweek of Gameweek 16. So now many scenarios are possible. One is that Crystal Palace are made to play on a Thursday, and then their weekend game happens on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then they play another one on a Tuesday. So it could all happen that they could play the EFL game, they could play the Conference League game and the Premier League game, which is against Leeds, by the way, in Game Week 17. But a very likely outcome is, if they're still in, people would just say, look, you're playing Leeds. You guys, we'll find a game for you, like Game Week 22, 23. We'll find a midweek for you. We'll just move your fixture. So this would cause a blank in Game Week 17, because what would end up happening is they would play their Europa League game or their Conference League game on the midweek. They would play their quarterfinal game, whoever they are playing on that weekend. And this Leeds and Crystal Palace game would move to Game Week 22. Now, why is that not important for us right now? If it's a double, it happens in Game Week 22, so no one cares, right? Because you will have different set of chips to play in that scenario. You cannot wait for your triple captaincy chip until Game Week 22. It is likely that you'll have a blank game week in this scenario by Game Week 17. Now, where is this complicated is, let's say Crystal Palace in the quarterfinal are drawn against Arsenal. Now, Arsenal's game on the weekend cannot just move to Game Week 22 or Game Week 23. So there's a small chance that if they play a team that is still in Europe, their game is brought forward to Game Week 16 midweek instead, because that's a free midweek for anyone who's not in the Europa League, in the Mickey Mouse Cup. I keep forgetting its name, Conference League. And so there's a chance that there's a double Game Week 16 in that scenario. I would put it down to maybe 5-10%. Because Crystal Palace could go out of the next round. Like if they draw against any of these teams that are playing tonight or tomorrow, they could just lose and they don't even make the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup. Second scenario, that they do make it, but they play a non-Premier League team, or they play a team that is irrelevant in Europe, so their game is just pushed later. Or it is fixed in a way where all these games happen within a 2-day period, because actually it's a very easy game in Europa League for Crystal Palace and they could just put out kids. So all these 3 scenarios are possible, in which case there's no blank. So I would say the only scenario in which this happens, we're talking about a maybe 20 to 25% chance of actually a blank happening in 17, and a 5 to 10% chance that there's a double in Game Week 16. Do you want to hold your chips to know this? You will know all of it by Game Week 10, because that's when the next round, the 4th round of Carabao Cup happens. So after Game Week 10, you'll have a full picture of, is Crystal Palace in the quarterfinal? And if they are in the quarterfinal, who is their opponent? And if their opponent is a Premier League European team, then you can up your chances for a double game week to maybe 50%. But until then, it's a very low likelihood.
Right. So just a reminder, if you want to watch these Carabao Cup games, I will likely be watching the Liverpool game, because I just want to make sure that Wirtz doesn't play more than 30 minutes, is safe and sound. I did ask Josh, by the way, whether he thinks that Wirtz starts on the weekend. He thinks yes. It was the first time they played 3 games in a week, which was a 6-day turnaround, not a 7-day turnaround, which is what something. So if you keep referencing, right, a difference between a 6-day week and a 7-day week. Slot said as much in his interview, so it definitely does matter.
I wish we had Klopp, man. If I had Klopp, I would have actually remembered this, because Klopp used to moan every time about it. Every time they have a lunchtime kickoff in a 6-day schedule, Klopp would start moaning from the Wednesday. If we had that precursor, maybe some of us could have preempted that Wirtz benching, but I completely forgot about this. We'll keep it in mind again.
Yes. Yep. And just if you could go back to the earlier slide for
just one thing, just quickly want to mention also here, Pras. Now, how does this affect the free hit window in terms of rather keeping the chips in hand? Is this, it seems like a very low probability, worth keeping the free hit chip in your pocket for?
It depends on how you do it. Like, you could easily say, I'm going to hold the free hit because if they end up playing somebody like a Spurs, right? And that Spurs fixture moves, then Spurs play Liverpool, I think, in Game Week 17. So if you have a double game week in Game Week 16 with Spurs doubling and Liverpool doubling, suddenly free hit looks quite cool, right? But it's a 5% scene. Like, it's not like it's
and
likely
also,
to happen.
You get the transfers also in Game Week 16. You'll anyway be getting 5 free transfers.
Exactly, Zoph. You get the transfers.
I don't want to use the transfers as a...
I know you want to keep them, but then ultimately I'm just trying to weigh up.
There's going to be lots of doubles coming in 22, 23, blanks, and you want to be not using your pocket money. You have to keep it for a rainy day, is at least my view.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Zoph has a decision to make whether he wants to free hit in Gameweek 7 or not. So this might just like having
Oh,
the
I would have
safety net
played
of
it as well.
having the safety net of transfers in case shit turns around and becomes worst case scenario, you have that as a
It's
safety net.
manageable.
That's all. Yeah, exactly. Just on fan code as well. It's a
Sorry, I go back.
I was actually looking. They also have the Saudi League as well. So if you're a Ronaldo fan and want to watch them or want to get into Saudi Fantasy League, which by the way is insane, they've got a 50,000 USD price. Like,
I need to get on that.
yeah, if you want to play Saudi Fantasy, worth it. If you want to watch the Carabao Cup, if you want to watch the La Liga, and if you want to watch F1, I think that's just a great pool. So scan the QR code or click on the link description and watch fan code.
Guys, we move on to the next batch of wildcard windows.
Yes. Yes.
Before we start Gameweek 8, can I just say, because Rockstar was also here, and I was telling this to Pranil, that sometimes what happens is you can be a little bit biased in your verbalization of things because you are on a certain path. And we are trying as hard as we can to be as objective about each of these paths as possible. But please keep this in mind that if you're listening to 3 people who are all wildcarding in Gameweek 6, maybe we spent 1-2 minutes extra on the pros for Wildcard 6 versus the cons for Wildcard 8. So just keep that in mind, that none of us here have pressed the button and we're trying to be as objective. But if there is a little bit of bias, I apologize in advance. Like, this is just how it is. This is about because we're thinking about this constantly.
I mean, as what might help just us be not biased is genuinely all 3 of us are on the precipice and genuinely weighing all the factors. And all 3 of us have very diverse teams. So I think it might just help add balance to the entire conversation.
And we have the pod on Thursday anyway with Harry, who has activated. So I'm sure he'll be very much convincing people on the reasons to pull it. You have that angle of it.
Exactly.
I think who has to pull it has pulled it, by the way. Like, whoever wanted to pull it last night, I feel. Or maybe tonight. Except for the people like us who are on the edge.
And except for the people who rely on people like us to tell them that these are the different factors to consider as well. Yeah. One thing before we move into the pros and cons of Gameweek 8 wildcard is because I just want to quickly mention, we talk about the right decision on Liverpool and other big hitters, clarity on Palmer fitness, and whether you want to go Haaland plus Salah long-term or others. And this is a very important thing because now you can move to the Gameweek 8 fixture ticker. 8-8. Yeah. The most important thing is I actually don't know if I'm wildcarding in Gameweek 8 who my big hitters are. There is not one nailed on big hitter that I know sitting in Gameweek 6 that this guy is nailed on in my Gameweek 8 draft. Will it be Saka? Will it be Gyökeres? Will Palmer be fit? Will I go Salah? Will I go Isak? Will I go Haaland? I actually don't know which 2 or 3 of these players I will get on a Gameweek 8 wildcard, which is why I just want to see how I feel in terms of the direction I want to take on the big hitters, which is why you will have to make certain tough decisions in Gameweek 8 because look at Liverpool's fixtures, good fixtures: United, Brentford, Villa, Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds. Do you start with Salah or Isak is hogging the goal share? We don't know. Look at Arsenal. You're missing out on the money fixture in Gameweek 7, which is West Ham at home. After that, they've got a couple of tough fixtures in Fulham and Palace, but then a good run of fixtures. Look at City. Their good run of fixtures doesn't end in Gameweek 8. In Gameweek 8, they've got Everton at home, Villa, Bournemouth, Leeds, Newcastle. So, you could still just own Haaland if he's punching above everybody else as the big hitter as well. I think just getting 2 more weeks of information in terms of which big hitters to go for, which actually determines the other makeup of the squad, is important because I don't think we can convincingly say we will go with A plus B.
Like you mentioned over here, the key difference is our Liverpool, Brighton, Wolves, Palace, and Newcastle, who obviously had good fixtures in the previous year. Now, Brighton are a team I probably will find it very difficult to invest in. And Wolves also, who are you going to go for? Primarily Strand Larsen, not really touching their defense in that sense. In Newcastle, we just discussed also the picks are becoming very difficult to identify. So in that sense, what are you gaining over here in terms of that fixture spin? Which are the key players you are gaining? Pras?
The biggest decision is Liverpool.
You're gaining information on understanding Liverpool. Like, we are writing off Salah and I'm not comfortable. Like, you can have in Gameweek 8 a Salah, no Haaland wildcard, or you can have a Salah and Haaland wildcard. So, and I'm not saying that's what we'll do. People may just go back to the Game Week 6. So it comes back to information. If we've learned nothing more and Haaland keeps scoring the goals and Salah keeps looking wide, then yeah, it'll be a Haaland wildcard. But
Yeah.
it is also possible that he scores well against Chelsea and you say, you know what? Haaland has got 80th minute subs now 2 game weeks in a row. I'm going to take on Haaland and I'm going to have a Salah wildcard. Why is that not possible?
But Liverpool, I should mention, the schedule now post-international break, that period in the UCL is also quite tricky because they have a Real Madrid game thrown in between that Villa match. I think let's look at Liverpool over here. Between Villa and Man City. So it's Villa, Real Madrid, Man City. In terms of picks in Liverpool, that whole period, anyone except Salah is going to be very difficult to attach
Yeah,
yourself
Van
to.
Dijk.
I mean, I'm talking about in attack.
Yeah.
That's also something you have to consider. Or you just go like, okay, fine, I won't invest in Liverpool for this period. Because I think the real good period for Liverpool actually comes from game week 12 onwards, I would say. Because that's when you have West Ham, Sunderland, and Leeds, and even Forest. So game week 12 to 15 is when you really need to attack Liverpool, I think.
Yeah. You can go back to the
Let's
pros
look
and
at-
cons also.
Just 1 second on this slide. Let's look at the teams people are picking now and compare it to the 8 wildcard, right? Are you picking any Everton on game week 8 wildcard?
Probably
No,
not. Maybe a midfielder.
Maybe a Dewsbury Hall as an 8th attacker, but even then I would say at this point go Stark.
Dewsbury Hall is enabler. You can put him stack, king, whatever. So I'm not picking any Everton on game week 8 wildcard. So here is my first difference between people who are wildcarding in 6 versus wildcarding in 8. Tarkowski is great, right? It doesn't matter if you have him or not, but in every template I've seen so far, Tarkowski is in and Endai is in. They've got great 6 and 7, so it makes sense that it's in there, but in game week 8 wildcard, I don't think it's there.
Their 7 isn't great. They put a great 6.
Okay, 6. So great 6.
Yeah.
So that's the first area of differentiation. I talked about the second area of differentiation, which is your premiums. You can go for Saka. By then, if you want to, you can go for Haaland Saka type setup. So that's not something that people have seen. Maybe we've discovered what we know in the next few. Maybe you don't go Gyökeres. Like you've figured out that Saka is getting 90 minutes, Gyök is getting 70 minute subs. So Saka versus Gyök, you'll have more clarity. If you have, again, I keep repeating, maybe we get no clarity and the draft looks like same as game week 6. I'm trying to play devil's advocate on what things can change. So you get clarity on Arsenal a little bit more on Saka. You get clarity on Haaland versus Salah a little bit more. Maybe you want to go both. If Saka doesn't look great, then you can go Haaland versus Haaland and Salah. In terms of, okay, this is going to be a little controversial. Are you going to have Semenyo in game week 8?
It's debatable.
Probably.
It's debatable because again the fixtures right then for I think remember 8 to 11 are a bit tight, but then 12 they get really good. I remember that seeing some
He'll come back, but is he a no-brainer? Like I would have Paqueta. No. I know West Ham look really
West Ham might have a new manager.
Look at West Ham.
They might have a new manager.
The only way I won't have Semenyo is, I mean, just being devil's advocate, is if him and Kluivert are on the pitch and Kluivert takes the pen.
Your view, Semenyo is a glue guy. You just pretty much set and forget it.
Yeah, if he's on pens and Kluivert is out, look, I'm not debating the pick. He's great.
But it's an important point to make also. If he's playing a City and Arsenal in this period, I don't mind it at all. Because bring on Bournemouth against these European teams when they are having shorter rest periods. Bournemouth is a good fixture. I mean,
all
Bournemouth
I'm saying
can play.
Is he's the same price as Eze now. So maybe you decide that, it's Eze who I want, and then Arsenal I don't want very long term anyway. So there are options in game week 8 that you can go different. Right now it feels like there is a structure based on the information we know, and that is the only way. So all I'm trying to say by all of these things is that if your team looks good for 6 and 7, you have now the ability to gain more information in 2 weeks. Yes, you're spending transfers. You're spending probably 3 transfers to do it. But there is an opportunity to be quite different. I sent you guys a draft which had 5 different midfielders. From the 5 midfielders that are template right now. You don't have to have Bruno. I've been a Bruno proponent this whole time. He's playing Liverpool. You can choose not to have him. Maybe he's still there, but there are lots of differences.
Yeah. Just one thing though. Like, and it's something, if we are not wildcarding in 6, that all of us need to be careful about, is we don't have to pick a different team in game week 8. Like, it's just a mistake that we could easily make because of psychological things where people that are picking on 6 are the right picks, because that's what happened in game week 4, right? People that are picking on game week 6 are picking the guys that were picked on a game week 4 wildcard. They turn out to be the right things. That meta might shift, that meta might not also.
Yeah,
so that's an important point to make.
Like what Danny was saying, everyone is wildcarding to his team, his wildcard 14.
Yeah.
It might be the same case in 8, it might not be.
Yeah. And the more I think about it, advice to Game Week 6 wildcard is definitely have Haaland. And then you decide Saka or Salah or both. But like if you want to play the safe bet, start with Salah. Like, the more I think about it, with Europe, with Isak and Saka and all these picks and maybe Gyökeres and goal share, I just don't see a world in which Salah and Haaland are going to be bad picks. It's as sure as it can get. They are just nailed on minutes monsters who are on pens for the two best teams in the league. Like that's not going to change factually for Salah either. I just don't think that's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing maybe for Isak and Ekitike, who might not be picks because they might do 70-30, 30-70. But Salah is just going to be a pick, whichever week.
And the enablers are there now. You can get a Stark, you can get a Reinders. The enablers are also emerging, getting easier to afford these guys than it was in game week 1.
Yep.
Can I just make one other point about Game Week 8? If Palmer is out, right? So firstly, we don't know. People are saying 3 to 6 weeks. Game Week 8 is 1 month away, so that's 4 weeks. So maybe he's back, maybe he's not back. So we will see if he's back. Let's assume he's not back, because that's the bad thing, right? If he's back, that's great. Game Week 8, you pick him. Like not many people have Palmer right now. If he's not back, now what happens is, actually captaincy becomes quite problematic from 8, 9, 10. You could just say, I'll just captain Haaland every week. Cool, that's fine. If the information we've learned by then is that Haaland is captainable in any fixture, fine, that's okay. We did it for many seasons. But there is a world where you say, okay, if it's going to be close in terms of captaincy, who's now the best captain in Game Week 9? Like, you can argue that it's you can do Haaland away to Aston Villa, but then I would say maybe Salah is the better captain. Then you have Game Week 10, where Salah is home to Aston Villa and Man City is home to Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a good team. Again, I'm saying you can take on captaincy as well, and you can have Salah over Haaland or both as a very viable path. Game Week 12, outright Salah is the best captain, no matter who's fit. So there are things here that by Game Week 8, you will be able to calibrate a lot better, because Salah also has finished his 2 fixtures of away to Crystal Palace and away to Chelsea, which he has in the next 2.
I mean, again, Game Week 6 wildcarders, if you're listening, biggest thing you could do to put your team in a problem is spending too much in defense now, because it's very likely we might want Salah plus Haaland. So just make sure you're adjusting your budgets accordingly. That's all.
Go
on to the pros and cons. Yeah.
Let me finish this. We're anyway 8 now.
Yeah. So just going to summarize what we spoke about on Game Week 8 is that you get clarity on the big hitters. Another pro is that if you're looking to bench boost in Game Week 9, Game Week 8 is the closest possible week to a bench boost 9 as well. So it gives you right information, less likely to go wrong on a bench boost 9. Pras mentioned this important point where, let's say West Ham hire a new manager and they're getting a good run of fixtures Game Week 8, 9 onwards. You get info on something like that. It's during the international break, so you can peacefully plan out the future mapping. The advantage of Game Week 8 is you can spend transfers on attacking United, City and Spurs fixtures right now. And you can triple captaincy in Game Week 6, pre-wildcard. The cons of a Game Week 8 wildcard are your bleeding team value. You're losing the prime Arsenal fixture in Game Week 7. You're missing the good fixture for Everton in Game Week 6. And the meta might not shift. And Game Week 8 and Game Week 6 look similar. And Game Week 6 wildcards at this point might be on 3 free transfers and you'll be on 0 free transfers. So you're behind in terms of free transfers as well. So these are the factors to consider. Yeah.
And
those are all big pros, big cons.
Big cons. And in general, the more you delay the wildcard, I think you're always going to be at least 1 or 2 or 3 players away from what we call the optimal team.
Yeah. Exactly.
That is something that is pretty much consistent with however long you delay it.
Yeah. Like somebody like me also, right? I've already made up my mind that I'm going to lose 10 to 12 DEFCON points to the field at max. And this is presuming I get lesser clean sheets compared to the wildcard draft and I don't get an attacking return from my attacking defenders. If I'm playing 3 defenders on wildcard, if I'm playing 3 defenders without wildcard, you have to be prepared at max. You'll lose out 12 DEFCON points to the field. Just mentally prep yourself for that, to gain information, which is not nothing. Worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, as we have seen in the last few weeks, pretty much.
Who's still holding on to words? Zoph, you sold him. LR and I have him.
I think you do. Both of you guys do. LR is benching him, I think. No, I think one of the
you're benching
him. Oh, that's what's all coming right there, LR.
I always
First bench.
oh yeah,
First bench.
oh, yes. Yes. Pras, please don't move it from first bench, please.
He's not moving from first bench.
This is great. I already. This is literally.
Dude, I
This is the most
genuinely say
confident
this
I've felt about words. Once Pras put him on first bench, nothing else has made me feel more
from the
confident.
bottom
about
of
him.
my heart. I genuinely say it. I hope he gets a hat trick against Crystal Palace first on my bench. Genuinely,
Yeah.
I'll get some price
Yeah.
rises back, and then I'll happily play him in Gameweek 8, 7 if I have to.
Just also worth saying that I have a very bad history with German underperforming FPL assets.
We know.
I tend to somehow hold on to them for too long.
Same thing with Liverpool assets also, like Darwin also. But that being said, we all did the same, but we would give them game week 5. But anyway, let's move
Yeah.
on to the future. Let's talk about game week 13. We actually had almost around 80 minutes and we haven't even discussed like free hits and all that stuff. So
No, but we discussed a lot around
it.
all
Yeah,
the
now once we
Yeah.
get to the wildcard, I don't think we'll spend as much time on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Gameweek 13, I'll just say two things. Firstly, because it's so far out, it's very difficult to fathom. You know, I used this example in Gameweek 1. If I asked you to make a Gameweek 6 wildcard team, you would say it's the same. Like, what's the difference? So right now, people will think Gameweek 13, yeah, it's the same. Like, okay, we'll have Semenyo, we'll have Haaland, we'll have Salah. But things will change. Things will happen. And I can tell you 13, 14, 15, go and look at the fixtures. And remember that 14 is a midweek game week.
Zoph.
13, 14, 15 is like a bonanza for points for good teams. And what's going to happen is you'll have injuries by then because if you wildcarded early. You'll have things to deal with. Maybe people have a bench boost to deal with. And people have different things. They can't get to Van Dijk. They can't get to Donnarumma or, I'm just talking the base. And then Haaland, Salah, getting a second City attacker, getting a second defender. It's going to be crazy amount of points that I've always felt you can pick up in 13, 14, 15. So my view forever used to be that I'm going to hold out, I'm going to hold out, I'm going to hold out. Things have happened which have meant that I've had to deviate. One is the Haaland Salah thing. If the whole mass, if I'm not taking a double drop on Salah and missing out on Haaland, if everybody is moving to that structure, I had to deal with Strand Larsen, whose actually best fixtures were later, who would have carried me to a Game Week 13 wildcard. So, but this is not about why I'm not doing it or I may not do it. I may still do it. But what I'm saying is it is still a very, very good window. I genuinely think it's a great window for certainly people who are looking to free hit this week. People like Ben Krillin, I think they'll be free hitting this week, wildcarding Game Week 13. That was the strategy I was on as well. But it's very team dependent. I made certain moves that have deviated me away from free hit 6. But I think Game Week 13 is still a solid week. But you will miss out on a lot of prices. You will miss out on a lot of transfers. You have to get, your path has to be very much like either you're zen about it. Okay, I'm not going to get Arsenal defense. And I'll be fine. Either you're that kind of manager, then you can carry on to 13. Or you're one of those managers that are willing to take transfers to hop on every single week, get to Game Week 13 and then have this fantastic team. If you're one of those kinds of managers, do it. And I'll say this now, if Palmer is out, maybe there is a scenario in which I have got Saka, Bruno, Haaland, and I've got a great DEFCON defense. I go, you know what? I just do Watkins to João Pedro in Game Week 8 and I'm good to go. So I'm not ruling it out myself, but I'm just saying there are reasons why Game Week 13 was very, very high on my agenda. I wish there was a world in which I could get there, but it's looking unlikely, but I like the window.
Just summing up the pros and cons from Game Week 13 very quickly, you might want a Salah and Haaland structure because of the fixtures there, or decide which optimal Liverpool and City picks are there. Newcastle fixtures are great. Game Week 13 onwards, all the info that Pras mentioned for Game Week 16, 17 blank, you will have, and you can plan for that on your Game Week 13 wildcard. You can be flexible and not worry about selling one of Salah or Haaland before your wildcard, because Game Week 13, you'll have the time to restructure. So it always enables loosey FPL. You can take a little more risks if you are playing up to a Game Week 13 wildcard. And obviously, you can triple captain now. The cons are bleeding team value. Others will be in a position of strength, and the thing is, even now or even in 13, nobody's ever going to be very far from a very ideal team unless too many injuries happen. So, the incremental advantage to people that have not wildcarded in Game Week 13 might not even be there. So these are the factors that we've tried to round up for all you guys. If you've enjoyed them, hit the like and subscribe button.
So we'll be posting this table also on our Patreon for you guys to download later if you found it difficult to read on your mobile.
Yeah. 1,200 people watching this. I'm sure quite a few people are going to be watching this podcast as well. We hit about 25-30K views on our YouTube videos. But the view to like ratio is always not the healthiest. And it really helps the algorithm and get the word out there. So if you could get us to 3,000 likes, be having an ambitious goal for this podcast, it would be really, really nice. Just click that button.
And we
It's
also
4% right now. 4% is very low, man.
Yeah.
Come on. 10.
we should also mention about Pras wanting to go to Thailand with us, LR. We have to get to that 50K sub mark.
Yeah, if we get to 50K sub, like Pras is like, it's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen this year because we are far away from 50K subs.
And I don't have any holidays left.
Yeah, and I'm not going to preface just Pras. Both Pras and I want to go to Thailand once we hit 50K subs. So help get us there.
I don't know how I've been pulled into this, but yes, we'll do it.
Cool, guys. Where should we go from here now? I think we've discussed the fixtures in detail that
Draft?
are coming. Let's just do drafts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Freehit draft, I think. Let's talk about Gameweek 6. Yeah.
Okay. You want to just close the, let's just close the wildcard discussion first, right? Since we really did that already. Like we mentioned in defense, I think let's talk about goalkeeper, guys. I think do you go Rhea and Gabriel, or do you even go like a Donnarumma? I think we didn't talk about the goalkeeper position. It's a big one.
Now that Saka's fit, I wouldn't go Raya. I would just go one Arsenal defender in case Saka turns out to be insane, and save the money. All the conversation that we've had so far knows that we might need more money in attack, so I would go Petrovic
I agree.
or a 4.5.
Petrovic
Huh?
is good, man. Like
Yeah.
I watched so I tend to, when I don't own a player, watch the game very closely. So I watched the João Pedro game very closely because it was Man United, of course, but also the Semenyo game very closely. And Bournemouth, I mean, Newcastle did nothing, right? I mean, they didn't even have the intent, but man, Bournemouth a good team. So I think if Raya rises, again, people panicking on team value, Petrovic is just legit. And in fact, you can even pair Petrovic if you wanted to. Like pair him with a Verbruggen if you trust him, or like I'm thinking Gameweek 8, you pair him with an Ariola and under Nuno Espirito Santos. And that's a legit good goalkeeping combo.
If you want to go someplace at 5 million, I really like the Pope shout.
Pope is good
shout.
as well, yeah. I should have mentioned.
Yeah. Defense, the only other player that I would consider adding, Anderson, because
Anderson
it's a
has to
DEFCON
be
monster.
there, man. I think I would definitely want Anderson in there. Potentially over Romero, maybe because Spurs fixtures toughen up a little bit. Because I think instead of Lacroix, Romero, I would save money and just go Richards, Anderson.
The problem is Anderson isn't playable for the next 4 or 5. He's just got DEFCON, but the clean
But
clean
3
sheet
or 4
potential.
points any day, bro. I think I would just take that because ultimately you're playing Senesi and Gabriel pretty much every game. Then we just have to play one of Anderson, Richards, or Rodon.
Yeah. I just think that Lacroix and Romero offer a lot. Like Romero's a bonus points
You're apparently
beast as
paying
well.
like
I
what,
mean,
at least $1 million more.
yeah, fair. But like go with one of the 2 5 millions. But I agree. Like Richards, Anderson are the 2 you'd consider outside of this. And if you're feeling flirtatious, go for a Timber or a Califari size punt. I'm not against it.
Let's just quickly do the Arsenal defenders because I think people were asking about that a lot on the Discord, right? We have seen Calafiori and Timber start regularly, but I don't think if I want a set and forget guy, it's different now if you want somebody for a shorter horizon. Let's say you can get somebody till 11 and 12, then you'll be like, okay, I'll switch him to Van Dijk later when the fixtures turn. In that sense, maybe you could go short term, but I think Gabriel is a bit of a no-brainer. You guys agree? Pras?
I don't know if he's unable.
You tell me, Alarka. I know Pras is pretty much going to be all Gabriel fan by. What do you think?
I think if you are going for a punt like a Timber, you need to prep yourself that out of the 5 games, he'll randomly be benched for 1. And that's just how the cookie is going to crumble, which isn't the worst case scenario because now we have our first and second sub as DEFCON defenders anyway. So it's just not the end of the world because the backup options in case somebody like a Timber gets benched isn't the worst case scenario. That's all.
Yes.
But if you're going Timber, then just go Tarkowski, man. Like, it's like then if you're going to miss one of the
difference between Timber and Gabriel, if it was something like maybe a little bit more than that, substantial, then I would agree. But just think Gabriel, the goal is coming.
Fair.
Yep.
Yeah. Nothing against Gabriel. Just like this is me, devil's advocate.
And we're trying to be a bit different, but it just seems like, a bit of a no-brainer, Gabriel, to me.
What about Saliba? I feel like
he's a bit better on DEFCON. Yes, absolutely
exactly.
better on DEFCON because Gabriel did get DEFCON in the one game recently, but that you have to remember was with Mosquera. The whole dog-cat dynamic is a bit different when Saliba is in there.
Exactly. So maybe Saliba.
But if like randomly you think your this one Mosquera, Hincapi are going to be thrown in at the random game, who do you think will miss out?
It's not
But depends
guaranteed
who
that.
comes in. Mosquera comes in
Yeah.
for Saliba, Hincapi comes in for Gabriel.
It could be either or. My point is, I don't
Yeah.
think in that sense they might either one miss maybe a game or two max, but I don't think Arteta will mess around with the centre backs much.
Yeah. Also, like it's been a while since Gabriel's been a set piece monster. Like he gets double marked on set pieces all the time. I don't remember the last time he scored on a set piece also. In fact, Saliba also did a couple of goals on set pieces. So like the notion that we held last year that Gabriel is just the better set piece monster, I'm not sure that's fully true right now.
But take it from me, it's going to change with Saka back because both these guys, what Madueke and Declan Rice do, they play corners more so to the near post. Saka is the only one who has a whip to generally get to the far post where Gabriel is
fair shot.
lurking.
Fair shot. Fair shot.
Gabriel
Good
is a
shot.
great man. He's just get
Yeah.
him. If you're on wildcard, get him. You can save on Raya. This I agree with. Because of that whole argument of the third. Like if Odegaard's injury is a little bit more serious, Eze is great,
Eze.
man. He played through the middle. Like he has that pass in him. He has, some set pieces. He's just a very good pick for 7.5 million.
Where do you think Kai will go once he does come back? Because Kai is, I think, pretty much in the frame after international break. He could play alongside Gyökeres or he could play in that number 10 position, like we mentioned.
Yeah. My issue
Or
with
he could play
Eze
on the left.
is Arteta. Like he's not in the level maybe that Saka and Gyökeres might be for Arteta. In fact,
Fair enough.
Saka's gone up a lot in my perception because of the Madueke injury. If Madueke existed, I would have stayed away from Saka. Like it doesn't feel good because Madueke is looking good for 20-30 minutes at the minimum every game.
Moving back to the draft, I think that's the defense we've covered. Now in midfield, I think Reinders, absolute lock. Bit of a gift at that price. If you're going in Semenyo, Bruno, you have to go if you're going in 6 now, given the fixtures that are there immediately. Ndai, Dewsbury Hall, Grealish is pretty much a toss-up depending on what you need. The thing with Ndai, Pras, I think if you're going Ndai over here instead of Dewsbury Hall, you go Stack because I think those fixtures that are around game week 8 or 9, the rotation is a bit better if you go with Ndai and Stack, right? I'll just read it out. When I think
Agreed.
Everton have City and they have Tottenham and all that stuff soon. That time you have Leeds having a decent run of fixtures. They play Burnley, West Ham, stuff like that. So I think if you're going Ndai, you go for the 5th pick, the 5 million guy in Stack.
Or even King, man. Like save man. If you've played your bench boost.
If you played your bench boost, maybe, but then King, I think the minutes are just going to evaporate now. If you're fine with him being a third one, which is fine.
Like a dead spotter is what I mean.
Absolutely. It's fine because your DEFCON guys are going to precede him anyway in most fixtures.
Exactly.
And that again, the front 3 picks itself.
Just saying what good picks that you should consider that are not on this wildcard draft. Salah, if you want to move things around and start with Salah. I'm not convinced that we should get rid of Salah fully yet. Boomer versus Bruno. I think Boomer is a sleeper pick. I genuinely think he's a ridiculously good sleeper pick. That's a minutes monster. That's accumulating a lot of NPXG. All the chances are falling to him for United. And I don't see him. He's at 490s and 170, which was game state dependent. And one other name is Saka. I think these are the 3 names outside of the ones that you see here that you should consider on your Gameweek 6 wildcard draft.
Anything else, guys?
The fact that you can just in this draft do Bruno to Saka and Raya to Petrovic, like you can just get to Saka right now. But you won't because Bruno has a great game week 7 fixture.
But by virtue of being closer to Saka, you're also closer to Salah, which is what I like about the money distribution.
But still like 4 million.
I know, but you want to be as close as possible, right, to Salah. Like that's why I like Saka as the most expensive placeholder possible.
And I think game week 7, the fixtures are pretty much at par. There's not really a differentiator. The game week 7 Saka has West Ham.
Yeah, but what I mean is ideally you want to have both, and it's difficult.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not that difficult. In this draft, for example, you take money out of defense, you can't get there.
Yeah.
For who?
I mean, let's say for Semenyo.
Lacroix down to Richards, Romero down to Anderson. Soraya down to
pick, man.
That's 2 million.
In game week 6, you have to pick Semenyo, I think.
Yeah.
I know, but you can get there.
Yeah. I also don't think Pedro's a lock on a wildcard. He's far from a lock on a wildcard. Now that Palmer is out for 3 to 6 weeks, Pedro's in his best position, but Chelsea are also weaker in
100%.
general. So,
but
that
again,
is also
we're
something
expecting it might be only a short-term period.
Yeah, so take him on, no? It's better. We've been jamming some points. Let's be honest. Take the points and run.
Yes, the underlying numbers aren't great, but with who? Strand Larsen's fixtures are good on the other side. You could maybe say that I'll bench Strand Larsen for a couple of games.
Go down.
You can go for a Foster kind of thing. Foster, Calvert Lewin, cheap third striker,
and get
and then you upgrade somebody.
More stacked midfield. Yeah,
like
you can go Bruno and
I like
Salah.
the stack pun over there.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, there are routes, but let's be clear. This is going to be this front 8 is I actually removed Dewsbury Hall. These 7 out of the front 8 are going to be in 90% of the team.
Very template.
But I think there's scope to differentiate a lot.
Ndai's numbers are actually pretty interesting. Plus, guess how many shots in the box he's had this season?
Doesn't take too many.
2.
Yeah.
He scored with both of them.
The thing is Grealish, he scored with both of them because they were both very high XG
they were
chances as well.
The XG is very high.
Yeah. Because
what
Grealish
is doing, he's creating a lot of opportunities. It's a bit like old school Dean and Cash kind of thing. You know, like you're getting those balls into the box. The ones you'll get at the end of are very, very gilted chances. And that's how he got the assist this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Grealish to him and he laid it off.
Yeah.
That being said,
I also think Dewsbury Halls is just better than Stack. I don't want to sit on the fence for that one. He's just way more involved than Stack is. Stack had a jammy couple of returns this week. Dewsbury Hall is much more involved.
People in free kick can score free kick. It's okay. I think, yes, I agree that Dewsbury Hall is better, but he did what he's supposed to do.
I know, but I just think Dewsbury
Hall happened in one game, so it became into a Hall.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, but I think the hesitation people will have, they don't want to go 2 Everton minutes. In that case, I want to make a case for Xavi Simons as well. There are good comments from Frank. He spoke about how he's still gelling into the team, which is why he didn't want to play him 3 days a week. And he also was asked about, 3 games in a week. He was asked about his best position also. He said, why are you playing him on the left versus the 10? He said, right now he's liking the solidity that a Bergwall is offering in the middle. But I think the impact that he had, he's going to be very regularly playing in that position for Spurs. And I think the immediate entry point against Wolves is good. Leeds is decent. Villa are all over the place. And then you have Everton. It's a bit punty, but if you want to go there as a differentiator, I really like the Simons pick.
I like the pick too. I think he plays the next 2. He changed the game when he came on.
The Wolves entry point is just great, man. You just can't pass that up.
I love your moves off. They're so sexy.
Yes.
What do you guys think of Foden?
Good, but again, man, how many times have we been there? I remember last year when we wildcarded in 30, we made so many sacrifices to afford Phil. When we have Reinders there who's giving us such sort of similar output at 5.5, with Phil, I think maybe if you have something like 3 or 4 transfers stacked up, that's when you go there. But if not, I just feel more stable with a Simmons or an Ndai.
Devil's advocate, I didn't go for Foden. I picked another midfielder instead of Foden. But like one thing I missed because I made the moves on Sunday, was that he plays 2 3 at the back defenses in a row, which is money game for Phil Foden because he likes to play an attacking midfielder right close to Haaland. And that's how he likes to attack such games as well, which is essentially almost always Phil. The problem is it could be TJ also. And TJ's actually looked better than Foden as well. But just because he's playing 2 3 at the back defenses, if you're looking at somebody as a punt for 2 weeks and you're okay with absolutely flopping when it comes to that punt also, then you can go Foden. But I don't think he's a wildcard pick. I think he's a pre-wildcard 8 punt.
Absolutely right. And he has a very good record for us at the Brentford Stadium, as you'll remember from 2 years ago.
Yes, I know.
First bench.
Pras and first bench. I need your team on Saturday, man, Pras.
We will be there.
I mean, this is again a game week 8 wildcard. Let's just not spend much time here. Just to say, these picks, like you mentioned, could be anyone, right?
Anyone. I don't think we need time here now. Let's move on to 6.
Let's just do the free hit. The free hit one, I think, again, what you're looking at, you're going obviously heavy on City. You're getting Haaland and Reinders, getting a City defender and Guardiola. You're going Everton, couple of mids. This is the Salah version we are presenting. So he's got Joao Pedro and Guiu, maybe with Semenyo in there. Tarkowski, and I think Anderson is primarily here because of the DEFCON.
Just let's talk about the games that we target and picks that we like. And then people can choose what they want to do. What do you reckon?
I think obviously the Everton fixture is a good one. West Ham, I think in terms of XGC, they're right near the bottom of the Everton are near the top for XG. So that's obviously an easy. But the Burnley one, we don't even need to mention it. The Bournemouth one that's a menu away to Leeds, I'm having a difficult time calling that one.
I'd go Semenyo because Leeds might play a little bit more at home. You triple up on City no matter what. I actually think it's because City tend to concede these big chances, and Burnley are shown themselves to be pretty decent on the counter. I wonder we go for the counter with a Canter with a Foden and a triple City attack also. I think there might be
That's the
value
next
in
version. With Salah and Haaland, it's not possible. But there is a Foden version.
You can spread the cash
but-
around over here. But even here, instead of Simmons, I'd be tempted to go with Xavi. Sorry, instead of Semenyo, I'd be tempted to go with Xavi.
Fair enough.
Taco should be an absolute lock
Absolute
on your
Free hit.
absolute
Yeah,
lock.
yeah, of course. There's a you can already see a clean sheet and a DEFCON. That's 8 points, man. Like
Yeah,
you're getting
and a
8
goal.
points.
Like I would be tempted
That's
to
also possible.
I think
I
he's
would be
more
tempted
likely
to
to score
go-
than the midfielders.
Keane could have had 2 goals last game. I would be tempted to go Keane Taco deep. Also, like I don't think it's a bad shout.
Instead of
because
Anderson. Yeah, that's a decent
it's
shot.
yeah.
I mean, West Ham is amusing now. The two teams they play next are actually top for XG set play. It's the worst
So, yeah.
situation.
But you know what's so odd? Forest plays Sunderland. There's no player. It's just very difficult to call them.
No faith, man.
Yeah. Forest were good in attack, huh? Genuinely good. They that 1-1 result.
Jesus looks good.
Yeah. Jesus looked good. Gibbs White looked good. Anderson looked good. Forest looked good. I mean, 1-1 wasn't a fair result. I thought they had a fair few chances Forest to kill the game.
Let's see the alternate version with no Salah. Obviously, the money spread around a little bit. You've got Bruno against Brentford. You got Foden in there. That's a primary difference plus over here. And the defense is a bit
Also,
more beefed
João
up.
Pedro. So the Spurs game, like João Pedro home to Wolves, should be a great fixture. Like it's a hall fixture.
Okay,
So
João Pedro home
that's-
to
I
Wolves. I,
think-
didn't understand.
Pedro Porro. I confused the Pedros. Pedro Porro home to Wolves is also in. So it's basically Salah money being spread a little bit. And you can even go Pickford if you want as your second. So you don't need to get Grealish. Your midfield is a lot more beefed up with Bruno, Foden, Semenyo, Reinders, and Dye. That was the change, I think.
Just want to say, in addition, I really like Senesi as a pick. I would avoid Anderson and Gabriel. I just stay away from the Newcastle Arsenal game because it's so difficult to call. So go Senesi. I like Wolves for a clean. I like Spurs for a clean sheet. I like West Ham for a clean sheet. I would triple up on City attack. I like the Bruno pick. I wouldn't mind going Boomo there as well. Double or triple Everton. You're good. It's an easy free hit, man.
I mean, Villa don't score, so Anderson is also fine.
Yeah, but like I think there are easier clean sheet fixtures.
Yeah. I mean,
Up
you
to
go
a
to
call.
the,
Kidding.
let's just look
I'm
at the
kidding.
probabilities, right? It's just to keep things simple. In terms of clean sheet, obviously you get your City defender, Spurs defender, Everton guy. That's pretty much there. And I think maybe in the goalkeeper you can punt on cells.
Yeah. Also, like, look at that. Spurs are second for expected goals after City. So Zoph, your Xavi Simons punt there also has some value.
That's why I picked him looking at this.
Yeah. Right.
Move on to our teams.
Yes. Do we not want to do like fixtures? And this is, I think we've discussed picks in general, right?
Yep. Let's go to our teams.
I think I was going to go to the Discord dilemma, but actually just looking back at we've discussed all of them already.
Yep.
Anything else we'll just discuss in the Discord anyway. We're already about like 100 minutes in. Fair enough. LR, your team?
So I moved on Sunday. I sold Salah. And I have a dodgy looking team where I've got double United midfielder and Ogo in there. I did Boomo and Haaland in for Salah and Watkins. I could have gotten Boomo. I could have gotten Bruno. I could have gotten Xavi. I could have gotten Foden. And 8 out of 10 times I go for Foden. But I was feeling a little dodgy about his minutes. And I actually think TJ might be the better pick. And the last 3 weeks I've seen United, I can't help but ignore the fact that Boomo is just a robust, good pick. He's been dodging points actually in the last 1 or 2 games as well. So I like the next 2 couple of fixtures. United are top 3 for expected goals. If you're looking at Gameweek 6 and 7 combined, because you've got Sunderland at home in Gameweek 7 as well. So that's where I am. Also, not going Bruno means that in Gameweek 7, if I do want to do Murillo, if you could look at my Gameweek 7 team.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't want to do Murillo to Gabriel, I could just play Pedro Porro, who has leads away. I have the money to do either words to Saka or Pedro to Gyökeres should I fancy it as well. That was the slight advantage to going Boomo instead of Bruno as well. So I have an open opportunity to punt on the best Arsenal
that's
attacker
great, man.
midfielder.
That's even better.
Yeah, so I have lots of options open in Game Week 7 in terms of where I want to go with my one free transfer, which will be an Arsenal player.
I like it. I like your path a lot.
Yeah. And then wildcard in Game Week 8. That's where I'm.
Do you need
I
to
didn't realize
wildcard
you
in
can
8?
do.
Eventually, because maybe United, Liverpool. It's don't need to in 8, but I can see the reason you want to.
I've got no DEFCON, guys. I'm not bleeding on DEFCON after Game Week 8. But my defenders mean I need to get my DEFCON guys in.
Right.
I can't bleed for so long.
Russ, any feedback?
No, in fact, I like the Gabriel path, but I've just realized that now I understand why I didn't go Bruno and Juvet and Bumo. I think having that flexibility, you just choose. It's like a free hit. Like on Friday, you choose which Arsenal guy you want.
Yep, that's the play.
It's an interesting one this week because all of us have done our transfers, right? Usually we're debating, but now we're just saying, this is what
we're
we've
now
done.
justifying why we did it.
Yeah.
So I've got Sells, who obviously won't keep a clean sheet. Everybody knows I hate him. But then actually defense is fine. Anderson against Villa, who don't score. Van der Ven home to Wolves. We saw clean sheet odds are good. Senesi is good. So defense looks fine. Reinders, Anderson, and Di Bruno. So I think Anderson is okay, but he's home to Sunderland, so I'll play him. But he looked good, by the way, in the previous game. He could have had an assist. He had actually a couple of. So he looks fine. And then Watkins, Gyökeres, Haaland. I know people don't like Watkins, but I'm gonna have Watkins this week and next week. So I'm sorry to say I'm not moving him on.
Just wanted to shout out Dougie Lewis. He was as attacking as Anderson and Gibbs White. Just keep an eye on him from a scouting point of view. I was impressed by his performance. He's cheap. He's 5.5 million. How much is he? 5 million?
5 million.
5 million. 5. It's cheaper than Anderson. I remember that well.
Yeah, just might enter the cheap midfielder conversation.
Plus, you can't be serious about playing Anderson over Wirtz, man. The disrespect there is real.
No.
Anderson is good. What do you mean?
I'm sorry, never mind. Take one for the team, Pras. It's fine. Let's stick.
No, but just on a more serious note, Josh told me he expects Wirtz to start. If that is the case, Pras, then think about it. That's all. If Wirtz plays like 30 minutes tonight, you could be in play.
He's going to play the whole game tonight.
If it's not necessary. He might.
He already said Sobo, the people who played 90 minutes so far, Slot has already said there may not be even in the squad. Like, so Sobo's not starting. So Wirtz is starting.
He's starting, but he doesn't have to play the 90 minutes. It'd be a half
he could play 60 minutes.
I'm not playing Wirtz. Yeah. I've sold Wirtz. Think of it like I've sold Wirtz.
Fair enough.
Right? Like you guys have sold Watkins, I've sold him.
I will not spend more time paying you off that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So and
no,
by the way,
because the only thing is also just add on to conversation. Sunderland are a good defense. They're not a bad defense.
Yeah, and Anderson is a good player.
Yeah, but just another factor to indulge is they're playing Thursday and then they're playing on the weekend and they will play a strong team on Thursday because Europe is involved. Just like if that affects your thinking.
I'll see. I'll talk about it in my team selection. But
the predictability is obviously there with Anderson. You're talking about 4 to 5 with potential a bit more. But again, Wirtz, I feel, has a ceiling. He hasn't shown it yet.
Yeah, but
I get that.
But there's a clean sheet there for Anderson. There's 2 DEFCON points there for Anderson and an assist potential. Like why is his ceiling lower than Wirtz?
But Wirtz has goal and assist potential, and he plays for Liverpool. It's similar to
Reinders. Goals and assists in the room with us right now.
Look, this is where we differentiate with Reinders and Anderson. You said you'd have easily played Anderson last week over Reinders. For me, never in a million years. If you saw Anderson in my team over Reinders, issue alert for Zoph has been kidnapped.
Yeah, fine, but that's okay. Like we play differently. Like I think Anderson has higher potential this week than Wirtz.
Absolutely, I guess that's where we differ. Fair enough.
So I can change my mind, but I'll think like minutes will matter if Anderson.
Yeah, I just think the Thursday thing. Yeah, the Thursday thing is also important. So just like
I'll have a thing. Yeah. And look, I will recognize that Sunderland looked good. Like I watched the Villa game highlights and they looked good. So now whether that was Villa were terrible or Sunderland were good, but Sunderland have started well. I would
all in all,
say that.
It's just a good problem to have.
Yeah, if there's a minor thing that comes up, I'll play Wirtz for anyone, right? So that's the thinking. And then next week, like I had talked about, I have 0.1 wiggle room on Wirtz to Saka. Wirtz will drop this week 100%. He was on the verge of dropping last night, so he will drop. So therefore, after tomorrow, I have exact money for Wirtz to Saka, no wiggle room. So what's going to happen is Saka is price locked. He's not going to rise, but Wirtz might drop again. So this is why I'm like, Wirtz can score a hat trick. I'll be so happy because then his price drop won't happen, and then I'll be happy. So
Yeah.
this is the thinking.
One pick I'm really jealous of, Senesi, man. He's just such a great pick.
That's a
He's
good
the
move with
unicorn
Poro
FPL
down.
defender.
Poro down,
So
that was a
good.
good move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on.
but sometimes hits work out.
Yeah. Love that Senesi pick. He's so good. Best pick in the game potential.
My team, I've made 3 transfers already, had 3 free transfers. Wirtz,
So
Watkins,
sexy.
Rogers out for Simmons, KDH, and Haaland. I've got 0.9 in the bank. And if you guys now did wildcard in game week 4 and you're in a similar Haaland Salah structure as me with no Arsenal and no Manchester United, let me talk to you guys about something now. What I'm potentially considering is a free hit in 7. Now, this is how my team will look now in 7 using just transfers. Now, it isn't great away, but you can get an idea of it. Now, it's not a bad team. I've got Sells, who's away to Newcastle, Porto, Gabriel, and Anderson. Porto is away to Leeds, Anderson away to Bournemouth. Not great fixtures, but again, I can get Gabriel in there for Murillo, cover that Arsenal clean sheet. Reinders, Simmons, Salah, Semenyo, Dewsbury Hall. Again, Salah, Chelsea's okay, Dewsbury Hall, okay, Pedro, and Haaland. So I do have some good players over here, but there is now, if I look at what I'm going to lose out to wildcarders in 6, I think I'm actually a bit in a stronger position than wildcarders. You go back to this team, it's very close, I would say, to a free hit team, which we looked at in free hit 6. I would say about 7 or 8 guys over here you could potentially include in a free hit in 6. You guys agree?
It's a good team. Very good team.
Yeah, yeah.
But now, but game week 7 is when I won't have any Manchester United, 0. I'll only have Gabriel, so no Arsenal attackers. I won't have anyone for Newcastle against Forest. I won't have anyone for Villa, Burnley, whether I want that. TBD. As of case right now, the free hit draft I made doesn't even include any Villa guys. So essentially, where is my team weaker now over the next 2 weeks is only game week 7. So this is a free hit team which I could get to in game week 7. Now I could get Martinez in goal, Dorgu, Gabriel, Senesi. I would be keeping my Man City duo of Reinders and Haaland and get like a Gordon or maybe a Voldemort, Boomo, Fernandes, so double United attackers, Saka, Gyökeres, and Haaland. Could put the captaincy on Bruno, could stick it on Haaland now. I ran this through Solio in terms of just to get an idea of, let's see how the projections are. Now in game week 7, what Solio is saying, if I do the Murillo to Gabriel move, the mean is 55.3. The probability of getting 40 plus is 89. Probability of getting 60 plus is around 35. Now, if you look at the free hit team over here, the mean is 62. The 40 plus points probability is similar, but 60 plus now jumps significantly. 60 plus, if you add up 60 and 80s, goes to about 69 over here compared to 37. So the chance of me having a big game week is significantly higher with the free hit, but I think in terms of both could average about the same. So I'm really inclined to use the free hit, guys, because I think in terms of coverage, I can pretty much align myself with everyone in 7. And do I necessarily even need Gyökeres immediately for the fixtures after an 8 or 9? I could say that maybe no, I'll just go stick with what I have. I have the Haaland combo. Maybe I can move the Salah combo out over there. Maybe I get Virgil over Gabriel in game week 8 or 9. It just gives me a bit more of flexibility and I don't risk losing bleeding points to the field in 7. What are your thoughts?
Can I go?
Yeah, sure.
So game week,
Go for it.
your current team is probably the best game week 6 non-wildcard Salah Haaland team I've seen. Love it. Covers a lot of bases. Has Salah, has Semenyo, has Everton. Beautiful team. The only bit of homework that I would urge you to do is build a game week 7 wildcard draft and take a call between game week 7 and game week 8 wildcard, because I don't think once you have a clear path to Arsenal, a game week 7 wildcard draft is a bad thing.
United then
And-
become a big one over there.
Yeah, exactly. You can start with United, not just one United pick. Whether you're going Bruno, Boomer, just a good, you can go with one midfielder at least. It's a good entry point. Game week 7 wildcard. Think about it. Why I like a game week 7 wildcard? When you're pegging your game week 7 wildcard, just decide between game week 8 and game week 9 as a bench boost option also. It's a good entry point. Like one of the problems of a game week 8 wildcard is you have to bench boost in 9. Yes, we know that the 8 bench boost is immediately after the international break, but if you're going with secure picks like Zoph picks, it's fair enough. And the advantage is you can decide if things are looking rosy, you can bench boost in 8. If things are not looking rosy, you can bench boost in 9 also after using a free transfer. So decide whether you want to free hit in 8 or wildcard in 8. Just in 7 or wildcard in 7. Like do the exercise.
But the thing is, I'm actually thinking I could potentially save the wildcard now 11 and 12 because the defense is pretty stable. Once I get Murillo out to a Virgil or a Gabriel in 8, right? I can pretty much play this Anderson, Richards. Paulo can maybe become someone else. Paulo's fixtures are okayish for the short term.
Yeah.
I can afford to delay the wildcard then potentially a lot more.
But the way you play Zoph, your ideal, like we discussed, your ideal team will never be more than 4 or 5 transfers away because you're going to go for robust picks. That's just how you play. So peg your free hit team against a wildcard. Just do that
Gameweek
activity
7.
so the answer. Yeah.
That's why I was asking what are now the potential opportunity windows for the free hit that have to weigh itself against, because we were having a discussion in our chat last week, Pras. Now with playing the free hit in a non-single game week, as much as the players you're picking is how you're set up on either side of it. Now, do I want
exactly.
Arsenal players immediately in 8? Maybe 8, not necessarily. I think Fulham away is a bit trickier. Not Manchester United, definitely not. Newcastle players, I don't know who to pick outside of a free hit. So in that sense, it's sort of ticking a lot of boxes for me.
No, it works. And I think the argument of wildcard then thing is if you're going to wildcard then in 7, then save your 3 free transfers in wildcard now, right?
No.
I mean, so it's tricky.
So whichever way you look at it, you have to build a Gameweek 7 wildcard.
Yeah, and it's benchmark it in case I pull the trigger now.
I like the idea, and I would say there's no clear week right now when you think about a free hit week. People will also be doing this. I think the next free hit window will be 13 or 14, where other people will look at it. Whether you're on a Haaland draft or a Salah draft will determine whether it's 13 or 14, and it's not as clear cut. Like the Solio graph you showed, this will be true for any week you free hit, right? Because you'll go for all the high upside picks by definition. But it's more about the picks around it, like you said. And I think if you're not that bullish on keeping Man United like a Bruno for 8, 9, 10, 11, if you don't mind no Arsenal till a little bit later, you don't need to get a Chelsea apart from João Pedro, who you already have. So I completely get the merits for it.
And also with Arsenal, I think Loki, the West Ham fixture is the best one by far, because then it's Fulham away, not great. Palace, very good team. And even Burnley and Sunderland, they're not at the Emirates. They're both away, and both these teams have shown on their own patch they can be good defensively. So I want to attack that game week 7 fixture hard. Because like we've seen, Potter's not getting sacked by then. I can get in Saka, who not many people will have. I can Gyökeres, obviously other people will have. Maybe I can take a double punt also in defense. Maybe get a Timber, Gabriel. The things I can do over there. I can get a Dorgu for 1 week. Things like that.
Yeah. And then in 8, you decide whether you want to wildcard or not. Simple. Based on the ecosystem.
If there are injuries over the international break, I can wildcard then. But then I'm going to end up there with Haaland, Salah, from where I can go anywhere if I need to.
Yeah. Fair point. Given your team, it's a good plan.
I think it's making more sense the more I think about it. I'll talk about it more on the Discord as we go on. Let's just go ahead.
And you'll decide, right? Once you watch the football also, that will influence your decisions about 3, 4 picks, meta, etc. Like so much changes still early in the season.
You can even pick Rodgers and Watkins on free hit 7.
It depends. I just might. Man, if the next 2 games they show a glimmer of hope, they might. But as of now, they don't necessarily have to pick them on a free. I think I will pick Haaland though on a 7 free hit. But I just want to give a shout out to the guys in our Discord. We didn't feature this section today because we've covered it pretty much. That's Bridul, Sakar, and Pankil. Great questions. And the last one is a bit of copium Pras. Pankil talks about that he's been playing FPL for more than 10 years and he's never seen ranks to 6 to 7 million at this stage. And I identify with that. Even when you're doing poorly, I mean, the previous season, you have a bad start stick, you're at 1.62, never plus 5 million, right?
I don't know what to say. Sorry.
I'll go on because last week I was 4 million and this week I'm 5.6 million. Pras has never breached the 5 million mark so far this season. And now he's 3.3 million.
I was 7 million, dude.
7 million. And now he's 3.3 million. Yeah. So just letting you guys know, this was the difference between just last week and this week. So the millions don't matter at all. Like look at Pras and me. Like 7 million to 3 million, 4 million to 5.5 million. These are the kind of volumes of changes that you're looking at right now. They simply don't matter. And we live in a world where 30% of the people ahead of you have used the chips. And once you use the chips, you'll get ahead of them. This was not the case in previous years. This is the case specifically in this year. So we won't actually know what our rank is until maybe Game Week 15 or until we've used 1 or 2 chips.
Also,
Stop
just
worrying about rank, man.
that's pretty much it, man. But yeah, I would like to say stop worrying about rank and enjoy the football. But the football's been so dull, also. So I can understand why it's both ends. It's been a bit turgid.
I don't know, man. Saturday night was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of
We
fun.
agree. We agree to disagree.
Yeah.
It's a plug for our Discord. If you guys are on Wildcard, it's a great time to join. You can join using the QR code you see on the screen or patreon.com/FPL. We're still having that annual membership discount.
Yeah, I think people need to come and need to give competition to the Arsenal channel. Like Achu just did an entire insane report on Arsenal picks, and no other teams are contributing as much in terms of picks compared to Arsenal. But actually, if you're in the market for Arsenal picks, who are very important on Wildcard, you've got some great fans for you guys to have a conversation with.
Before wrapping up, guys, a few super chats. Get to.
Sure.
Can I, while you're loading up the super chats, can I ask one question, which will be incomplete if we don't discuss it? If on Friday Pep says Haaland is out, what do you do?
I'll play my DEFCON guy.
Sorry, you'll do what?
I'll play my DEFCON guy.
So you just keep Haaland and bench him?
Yeah.
Who will you captain? You will have Salah, so you're
Exactly.
fine. Elan, what will you do?
I'll captain Boomo against Brentford.
And keep Haaland. Like none of you guys, like I'm thinking I'll free hit.
Yeah, maybe you free hit, yeah.
Because if Haaland is out, you want Salah team. You don't want Haaland team from next week.
Yeah, but then you question life. Yeah. Genuinely, you question life. If that happens.
This is what I'm talking about it. Like it's worth talking about. I know, look, the probabilities of it are very low. We've already told people that is, all Pep was saying was that they were in recovery and he's not seen the guys train this today. He was never expected to be in the squad for this game tonight or tomorrow. So I'm just devil's advocating that what you do, have a plan, have a free hit ready. At least in my case, I'm going to have a free hit ready without Haaland. And then I will revert back to the Salah team and then shoot for Wildcard 13 like was the original.
That's also a good shout. The free hit.
Good shot. Yeah, good shot. Free hit or Wildcard? Like I'll have to use a chip.
That's a good shot.
But with Wildcard, the problem is I thought about this. If you Wildcard when Haaland is out, what kind of Wildcard is it? It's a
For me, the
Salah
Wildcard will... Yeah, my Wildcard...
You leave money in the bank.
Team.
You leave money in the bank to get Haaland in one move.
My Wildcard will be a Salah team, but my team is actually not that great. So I will get Arsenal picks. I will get DEFCON defenders. I'm very far away from that. So I'll just...
Fair enough.
Yeah. The guys who've activated, you just leave money in the bank to get Haaland in one move because we think at worst case, it would be a 1 game absence.
Yeah.
And another pro tip for people who have not yet pressed the button, you can make transfers and you can make, I think, up to -28 or something. Then you decide on Friday if you want to press free hit or you want to press wildcard based on whether what you hear about Haaland. Because once you press wildcard, you can't remove it.
I read Ayush's comment. It was great. It said, "This is not devil's advocate. This is just the devil talking."
I mean, we got to cover all bases, man.
Yeah. I know.
Although, Pras, when you said that, I have an important question to ask. I thought you were going to ask which airline we are flying to Thailand.
We are not going to hit 50K for a while. I don't know. People are not subscribing now. It was just pre-season.
I'm wrong, guys. Cool. Super chat time. First one from Gaffa92. Hey guys, great pod as always. Doku or Endai for a 2-week punt? Endai, man. Doku
looks good though.
Spicy.
Doku looks so good, man.
Does look so good. But again, how much goal threat does he have? Endai, potential for but again, his Palace, Burnley, Brentford. Yeah, I think 2-week punt, Doku. Set and forget, Endai.
The thing is that, see, if you're punting on Doku, just know that Savinho or Oscar Bob could just easily play and you're screwed. Like, there's no guarantee in which Doku plays. So it's a very flary punt where you could be screwed with 10-15 minutes also. Like, if you are somebody who has the capability in life to deal with such issues, then do it. If you don't, just go and die.
From Phantom, can you rate his wildcard team? Petrovic, Nico Riley, Van der Ven, Sinisi, Menio Salah, Endai, Doku. Pretty much similar to what we discussed, but he's not got Gyökeres in there. He's got Richarlison in there.
Don't have Doku on your wildcard.
Don't have Doku on you.
Even Calafiori, Richarlison, like have a little bit of think about robustness. No, Calafiori's on the bench.
Okay, yeah. In Calafiori's not a great wildcard pick, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, that team
Start
is
with our
okay.
base, and then you get punty if you want.
Next one is actually a draft league question from NT Kick. He's in a draft league with his friends. Who's a better pick, Paqueta, Binte, or Gravenberg?
Mente, by the
True, for
way,
draft.
told you Bini Semenyo.
For draft, you pick penalty takers because
Yeah,
there you're
okay.
genuinely picking players who will get over the whole season 7 pens or
Active.
5 to 7.
Back 10.
Back 10, Semenyo. What is the other options?
Minte and Gravenberg.
Gravenberg. Not Grav, right?
No. Pack 10. If you're feeling flaky, then Mente, but not Grav.
Moving on for Ayush, OR21K. Well done, Ayush. Haaland more from the start. Wildcard 13 in mind. Make some defensive move for a defender. Currently sells Bruno so and so. It gets Bruno, Eze to Saka, or Wood to Isak. JP8. Again, consider Ayush the free hit as I mentioned. I think
But
that
Wood to
really...
Isak. I won't sell Bruno.
Exactly. Why would you sell Bruno?
Don't sell Bruno.
So he has Salah, Haaland, and Bruno?
It's possible.
I know, but
Alon wildcarded into Salah, Haaland, and Palmer.
I guess you can, now, but to start with that, something like that from game week 1.
Yeah. You need to go further back for something like that, essentially. Yeah.
But I can't really understand his question very clearly over here. He wants to
Send
go
us your question in the comments and we'll reply.
Vijay Ganpati, hi guys, love the show. Haaland does not play versus Burnley. Who's the next best captaincy choice? I think we discussed this right at the
That's
end.
it. But this is a great question. Let's just
I mean,
think about it.
Reinders also is up there with me.
I mean, objectively, it's Salah.
I still like. Let me look at the fixtures.
Pedro, not confident.
Not Pedro, also not confident. Not Bruno, also so much. Maybe Bruno could look at.
Maybe United.
Honestly,
mid,
Tarkowski.
Pedro.
Tarkowski.
Yeah, like this. Then it's the week to get flaky and just have a little bit of fun. Yeah,
Tarkowski has the highest floor any player has ever had in FPL.
that's true. That's true, man.
If you're ever gonna go defender.
Second highest clean sheet odds and DEFCON for fun.
And West Ham for attacking threat.
Yeah,
it's insane. I'm actually convinced about that. The highest single haul that we're going to get this season is going to be from a defender.
It makes
for
sense.
sure.
The routes to points are there.
Yeah. Too many routes to points. Like a couple of set piece points plus clean sheet plus bonus plus DEFCON.
One is from Dimitri's. Thoughts on Chalobah instead of Tarkowski Spurs? Just avoid the Chelsea defense in general. The whole goalkeeper situation is tricky. I don't think I would go there now. We even saw he even benched Dawson, who I thought is going to be pretty much playing every game in a huge match.
I think Romero's great instead of Chalobah.
Yes.
Get Romero. DEFCON, good defense.
Yeah. Agree.
And Thomas Frank, set piece defender.
Wirtz and Palmer to 2 of Saka, Bumo, Foden.
Long-term Saka and Bumo.
Yes.
Yep.
I think for transfers just makes sense. Foden is more of a punty pick. Last one from Dheer. Please don't send any more, guys. Best defender for only game week 6, 7, 8. He's already got Gabriel, Anderson, Nessie, and Rodon. Tarko would be up there, but game week 8 is away to City. Burge?
You don't.
Burge has Palace away, Chelsea away. So he already has Gabriel, Anderson, Nessie, and Rodon.
But why is he making a defender transfer?
Yeah.
I don't know. He asked a question, so we must answer it.
Like
Saliba.
You have 3 playable defenders every week.
Timber, Saliba.
Just an Arsenal guy, right?
Just an Arsenal guy.
I think Saliba.
Or Tarkowski.
Or Timber. So Tarkowski plus 8 is tricky. If you want it every week, if you can manage 8 rotations.
He'll get 3 points. He'll get 3 points.
Get Tarko.
I would say Tarko.
The floor.
Just because of the upside.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's wrap up, boys. Done.
2 hour pod in the books.
Expected.
That was a good one.
That was a fun one.
And I feel like we could have covered a lot more. Genuinely, I feel like we could have covered a lot more, but
yep. I think we'll do that a bit more on Thursday. I think we'll dive much more into, I think, the 50-50s on Wildcard 6, although I don't think there are many.
Yeah. Also, if there's anything specific that you want us to cover on our team selection videos, also let us know in the comments below, because we can try helping you guys out on our team selection videos after the games tonight as well. So just let us know in the comments, and we'll try covering those in our team selection video. Keep the notifications on, because you have 4 more videos at the minimum coming this week. So this channel is going to be buzzing.
He is mentioning he's on a wild card. So yeah, go for Tarko, man. Simple. Oh no, wait, on a wild card actually. Then you go for the Palace. The Palace
Cheaper.
guy's missing. Go
Yeah,
for the
Richards.
Palace guy. Yes, thank you very much. Any last words?
Hit like and subscribe.
Fantastic.
Yeah. See you soon.
Thanks for watching us. See you soon. Tips are active. Should be fun. See you guys next week. Actually, not next week. See you guys Thursday. Bye bye.